I died on an operating table. Wait, no, I died outside one, face planted in a hospital hallway after one too many surgeries. Typical. And now I'm someone else. Some guy named Xie Ning, same name as me. What a joke. Farmer family, dead parents. And apparently this idiot's whole personality before I showed up was drink, gamble, visit brothels, and beat my wife. Great. Love that for me. I'm hanging off the back of a cart, puking my guts out, while some guy named Li Erju curses me out for ruining his ride. He dumps me on the ground with a few coins and tells me my wife fell off a mountain while cutting wood and might already be dead. Then he calls me trash and leaves. Fair, honestly. I drag myself to my new home, which is basically a falling apart shack. There's human poop by the front door. I step in it. Of course I do. Inside, a bunch of women are panicking over someone bleeding badly. I, being an actual doctor in my past life, walk past them into the kitchen first, because old habits die hard and I need clean water and clean hands before I touch anyone. I dig through a jar of pickled vegetables and find this body's old stash, some old scholar robes, and a handful of copper coins. That's it. That's our whole fortune. While the water boils, I piece together the memories rotting in this guy's skull. Turns out the girl dying in the other room is his wife, a refugee the village rescued and married off to him. Everyone else got made a concubine, but she got the real wedding, lucky her. Except 10 days after the wedding, his parents both died, so the village decided she was cursed, and this loser used that as an excuse to beat her constantly. Sell her to a brothel, threaten her with worse. Basically charming guy, the one whose body I'm stuck in. I knock on the door. Someone yells that she's coughing up blood. That gets me moving fast. I push in with a basin and find her passed out, soaked in more blood than I threw up earlier. The women flinch back from me like I'm about to start swinging. I tell them I'm not going to hurt her. I ask them to step out so I can check her injuries properly. Once they leave, I do an actual examination. Head, neck, arms, no major fractures. Hips, careful check, fine too. It's the dead of winter, and she's wearing one thin layer of clothing. The blood on the sheets isn't from internal bleeding. It's from stick wounds on her arms and shoulders that tore the skin open. Then I finally see her face. She's tiny, pale, maybe 15 or 16, basically a kid. Bruises stacked on top of older bruises cover her arms and shoulders. In my old life, I never hit a woman in my life. Not even the gold digger ex who wanted my whole salary as a bride price. This is something else entirely. I steady my breathing, undo her clothing to check for internal injuries, find 2 broken ribs, and lean down to listen to her heartbeat and lungs. That's when her head jerks up and she croaks out, barely conscious. If you ruin my body, I won't be worth anything to sell anymore. She's been married to this body for 3 years, getting beaten the whole time, and somehow this jerk never touched her that way. Turns out it's because virgins sell for more at the brothel. Cold logic. So now I've got her half naked under my hands and she's terrified, begging me to kill her quick instead of dragging it out. I pin her flesh and blood logic to her face. I'm a doctor, not a monster. I press on her stomach. Does this hurt? She just stares at me like I'm speaking another language. I press again. Ribs are broken. I need to know where else it hurts. Yes or no, that's all I need. Doesn't hurt. I move to her liver. Here, doesn't hurt. By the end of the exam, her whole face is bright red and my palms are warm in a way I don't want to think about too hard. I stand up, look away, and tell her flatly, just the ribs, nothing else serious. I try to leave. She grabs my sleeve. Her eyes are wet, scared, like she wants to say something but doesn't dare. And honestly, looking at her, a girl who back in my world would still be in high school, worrying about exams and crushes, stuck here getting tortured by some garbage husband. Yeah, even someone as unsentimental as me feels something crack a little. I let go of her hand, walk out to the yard, and come back with some wooden sticks and a kitchen knife. She goes rigid with fear the second she sees the knife, so I explain fast. Broken bones need a splint. This is going to hurt. She needs to hold still. I carve the sticks into splints. When I lean in close to set the bone, she completely loses it. Husband, I'm begging you, please, spare me. I'll give you every coin I earn. I'll wash more clothes. I'll cut firewood on the mountain. I'll do anything. Just don't sell me. Don't hurt me. And if you're going to kill me, please just make it quick. Her sobbing is giving me a headache. I fake some annoyance. I'm not interested in beating up a half-dead bean sprout. This is going to hurt. Don't move, and maybe, I won't sell you. She can't believe it. Before she can ask again, I shove a wooden stick between her teeth. Bite down, don't bite your tongue. And don't move, no matter how much it hurts. Then I get to work, setting the bone by feel through her skin. She's groaning the whole time. And eventually the stick falls out of her mouth, and she lets out a scream that probably woke up the whole village. The bone's set. She passes out from the pain, which honestly works out. I swap out the bloody sheets while she's unconscious. By the time I'm done, I'm sweating through my clothes. A doctor's eyes are supposed to see only life and death, not gender. Doesn't stop the feel of her skin and the sound of her crying from sticking in my head anyway. I can't stay in that room any longer. Broken ribs aren't usually fatal, but in a world with basically zero medicine, usually doesn't mean much. She's the only person in this entire world I have any connection to, so I'm not about to let her die over something this fixable. Whether I keep her around long-term or eventually let her go, that's a problem for future me. I'm no saint, but I'm also not going to spend my life pretending to love a stranger I have zero feelings for. I check the cabinet for a spare blanket. Find 2 ratty old shirts and rat droppings instead. Then I remember, original me already sold the other blanket for drinking money. Of course he did. I don't even have the energy left to be mad about it. It's still early, so I search the house and yard and scrounge up exactly 2 bowls of cold water to eat. Her injuries are bad enough that even with a medical degree, I can't promise she survives without real medicine. I look at the snow-covered mountain behind the village and sigh, do what I can, and hope for the best. She's still the only person here who actually matters to me. Most herbs get picked in summer, so I spend 2 freezing hours in the mountains hunting for whatever grows in winter. Aconite root, white peony, polygala, stuff like that. The famines hit this place so hard that even the wildlife is gone. The trees are stripped of bark, and the refugee corpses half buried in snow show bite marks. I genuinely can't tell if that's from animals or from starving people. I already threw up once today. Now I'm just hungry enough not to care. It's an hour's walk to town. On the way, I run into a pack of village kids huddled around a fire, way too excited about something. Which one of you little brats took a dump in front of my house? They scatter to protect whatever's cooking behind them. The smell of roasted sparrow hits me, and suddenly I'm starving in a whole new way. Liar. Nobody did that. Nobody, huh? Then why are flies all over your backside, liar? I grab the stick out of one kid's hand and kick him for good measure. The roasted sparrow tastes incredible, genuinely life-changing. Original me apparently had quite the reputation in this village as the local degenerate, so nobody's surprised I'm doing this. One kid, turns out to be Li Erju's son, the same guy who dumped me on the road earlier, starts crying and threatens to tell his dad. Go ahead, kid. Your dad already whipped you this morning. We're even now. By noon I reach town. There's a long line outside the pharmacy. People who look hollowed out, dead-eyed, barely standing. I hand over the herbs I found to the shopkeeper in exchange for some wound medicine and a few coins. He's thrilled, asks me to bring more whenever I find it. I ask what's wrong with everyone in line. He sighs and explains. It's an addiction, some drug called carefree powder, recently banned by the imperial court, and now everyone hooked on it is showing up here for withdrawal treatment instead. I recognize the description immediately. It's basically this world's version of an ancient opium-like drug from history. Cheap to make, easy to spread, turns soldiers into stronger fighters and scholars into manic geniuses, and turns an entire empire into a nation of addicts within a decade. Classic. I asked the shopkeeper if the withdrawal treatment uses a specific combination of herbs. His eyes light up. You know medicine? 2 of the herbs the shop uses are normal, but the third one, goan grass, is basically poison. They're using it to fight a worse poison, which is the dumbest cure I've heard all day. Like beating out a fire with a bigger fire. I'm honest with the shopkeeper, even though I know it'll sound weird coming from a poor scholar covered in dirt. I tell him he might want to swap that poison herb for wolfsbane root, balanced with a little burnet root to even out the cold properties of the other ingredients. He laughs in my face, tells me not to talk about medicine like I know anything. Fine. I tried. I apologize and leave. What I don't see. The second I'm gone, the shopkeeper repeats my suggestion to the back room as a joke, and the old doctor back there, guy named Dr. Wu, practically jumps out of his chair. Turns out my random suggestion would actually cure the addiction within 3 years instead of just managing it forever. He goes sprinting to the front door to find me. I'm already gone. I spend my coins carefully in town. Medicine for her, the cheapest grain I can find, basic cooking oil, and on a whim, a little sugar because I keep thinking about her face from this morning. I also buy 2 meat buns and 2 plain ones. Eat the plain ones walking, save the meat ones warm against my chest for later. I wander into a bookshop just to check prices, since I used to be a scholar in this life's memories too, and figure maybe the imperial exams are still my way up in the world. One look at the price tags. Even the cheapest paper and inkstones cost more than I have on me, and that dream dies instantly. The clerk sees how shabby I look and openly mocks me on the way out. Whatever. He's not wrong. By the time I get back to the village, it's dark, and the whole place is suddenly loud. Very loud. In a very specific way. I realize what's happening and immediately regret existing. At home, I check on her. No fever, still asleep. Good. I lie down next to her, exhausted, and just pass out. Next morning, I get up before her, boil water, wash up, warm the buns, and make porridge. She tries to sit up the second she sees me, and I have to stop her. Her bones are still healing. Moving wrong could undo all of yesterday's work. She flinches away from me the moment I sit on the bed, terrified, already apologizing for not getting up to make breakfast herself. I tell her to be quiet and just let me check her pulse. Old habits. Back in my world, I did a year of traditional medicine training under a well-known doctor before switching to surgery, so reading a simple pulse like this isn't hard for me. I tell her plainly. Her body's foundation is fine. She's just run down from months of poor health, and with proper care she'll be back on her feet in about 2 weeks. She goes completely silent. I don't think she knows what to do with a husband who isn't currently hitting her. I get up to bring her the porridge and buns. In the morning light, apparently, I look good, clean scholar robes, tall, whatever. Not that it matters to me. Her memories explain why she agreed to marry into this family for free in the first place. She liked his face. That feeling died fast, though. His father died falling off a roof the day she arrived. His mother died of grief not long after, and original me decided both deaths were somehow her fault. He beat her half to death at his mother's funeral and never stopped after that. She spent every day since believing she deserves it, some kind of punishment for her father and brother losing a battle that got 30,000 soldiers killed. So none of this, me being gentle, me checking her pulse like an actual doctor, makes any sense to her. I prop a pillow behind her back, tell her the medicine's warming by the fire, to drink it after she eats. I mention I'll try to bring back bone broth tonight for nutrition. Ask if anyone in the village does sewing since her blanket got ruined with blood, and ask, half out of real worry, whether the family owes anyone money, since the original guy clearly wasn't responsible with cash. She just stares at me, dead inside, and asks quietly if I can help her change clothes later. I tell her sure. Her old clothes are ruined anyway. I'll buy her something new in a couple days. New clothes. For her. That's when all her hope completely collapses. In her head, there's only one reason a husband like hers would ever buy his wife something new. He's dressing her up to sell her. You don't need to buy me new clothes. She looks up at me, and now I finally see her properly. Messy hair, dry and yellowed at the ends, a small face with these big dark eyes that are full of tears even while she's smiling. It's a sad kind of smile. Her voice shakes. Husband, in the cabinet, there's the dress I wore the day your mother brought me here. Can you put it on me? So when I die, my family will recognize me in the afterlife. I stare at her, completely thrown. We were talking about clothes shopping, and she's already planned her own funeral outfit. Hey, don't cry on me. I was great at school, great at my job, terrible, genuinely terrible, at comforting people, especially women. I think back to all the threats original me apparently made and realize what she actually thinks I meant. I'm not buying you clothes to dress you up and sell you somewhere for a good price. Years of abuse have wired her to distrust every word out of my mouth. I drop my bowl, completely out of patience at this point. You're hurt badly enough right now that even if I were a complete animal, I wouldn't touch you like this. I am never laying a hand on you again. I won't yell at you. I will not sell you to a brothel. You really won't sell me? Obviously not. I don't even know if human trafficking is technically illegal in this world, honestly. Doesn't matter. The second she starts crying, I'm useless anyway. Dead silence. Painfully awkward silence. I clear my throat and point at the buns in her hands. Those are getting cold. That snaps her out of it. She suddenly realizes she's holding the meat buns while I'm drinking plain porridge. She immediately tries to trade with me, insisting she actually likes porridge better, that the meat buns should go to me. Her sister-in-law and mother drilled into her since childhood that wives serve their husbands first. There's no version of the world where the man drinks porridge and the wife eats meat. I don't buy it for a second. Nobody doesn't like meat during a famine. I walk over, touch her dry hair gently, and tell her I bought those buns specifically for her, that I know she's scared of me, but I meant what I said. Then I ask her name, since apparently I'm about to be sharing a tiny house with this girl and I don't even know what to call her. I'm Suwan. Being this close to me makes half her body go numb with nerves, but something about my low, gentle voice still cracks through and warms something in her despite everything. After breakfast, I get her to drink her medicine, then immediately run off toward the edge of the village. Halfway up the mountain, it hits me. She's got 2 broken ribs, and I just left her alone all day. How is she supposed to use the bathroom by herself? Knowing how she burst into tears over a meat bun, if I offer to help with that, she'll probably cry an ocean. I push the thought aside for now. On the way up, I run into some neighbors out cutting firewood. Guys who clearly think original me is a useless degenerate. They mock me for wandering up the mountain with a woodcutting knife, like I'm trying to steal a hunter's job. I ignore them and keep walking. Half an hour later, foraging for herbs is way easier with yesterday's experience behind me. I've started piecing together more of this world. Turns out it runs on basically the same writing, culture, and exam system I knew from history books, even though I never heard of this exact dynasty before. If the social structure lines up this closely with what I already know, I figure I've got a real shot at climbing up through the imperial exams with my modern knowledge. Of course, none of that matters without money first, and that withdrawal treatment line outside the pharmacy yesterday already gave me an idea for how to get some, though I need more time to figure out the details. I'm making great progress on herbs, barely half the time it took yesterday, when I stopped dead in my tracks. 20 steps away, lying in a pool of blood, partially eaten, is a dead deer. A whole deer. A wild boar alone sells for at least 2 silver. A deer this size? Even half of it would be worth a month of herb picking. No, 2 months. I wait nearby for almost 20 minutes in case whatever killed it comes back, then creep over to check. Still warm, blood not yet frozen. This just happened. Despite the chewed-up insides, it's got to weigh around 200 pounds. There's no way my weak, freshly transmigrated body drags this down the mountain on its own, so I lash it to some branches with rope from my basket and start dragging the whole thing down, basket and all. By midday, the village men are gathered around the millstone playing chess, killing time after their own wood gathering. One of them, my neighbor, brings up that nobody's seen me come back yet, and half joking, half worried, starts talking about sending someone up the mountain to check I haven't been eaten by wolves. Original me's parents died less than 6 months ago, so even people who look down on him still feel a little obligated to check. Right as someone offers to fetch the village head, somebody spots me coming down the road, dragging something huge behind me. Wait, is that Xie Ning? What is he dragging? It's game. An actual wild animal. Within seconds I'm surrounded by half a dozen guys losing their minds over the deer. 200 pounds, easily worth 2 silver, half a year's food for a whole family. They're calling me lucky for catching something this big on my very first hunting trip ever. Just luck, I say, shrugging it off, even though dragging this thing down the mountain has wrecked both my shoulders. Some guy named Zhang Lizi throws an arm around my neck, way too friendly. Already planning how we should sell the deer and go blow the money on drinks and women at some brothel. Apparently there's a deal this month where enough spending gets you a free girl. I shake him off without even answering and walk straight past him toward Li Erju, the steady, unimpressed one standing near the millstone. Brother Erju, are you free this afternoon? I need someone to haul this into the city for me. Li Erju, already built like a wall and currently glaring daggers, just grunts. Into the city? Sure. That'll cost you 20 coins for the cart. Then, sharper. And why aren't you asking Zhang Lizi, since he's so eager to help you for free? I tell Li Erju, with total sincerity, that Zhang Lizi doesn't have a cart, and that I'm done with the brothels. For good thanks to yesterday's lecture, Erju doesn't buy it for a second. Original me's reputation isn't getting fixed in one conversation, but he pulls out his whip anyway and warns me. 20 coins for the cart ride, not one less, or he'll whip me bloody. He hoists the 200-pound deer onto his shoulder like it's nothing. Genuinely impressive. Back home, I had a decent six-pack from the gym. This guy makes me look soft. Behind us, Zhang Lizi gets mocked by the other villagers for getting snubbed and tries to save face by claiming I'll come crawling back to him eventually. I notice the dark look he gives my back as we leave. Filing that away for later, guy's clearly petty. At the edge of the city, I have Erju pull the cart into the trees off the main road instead of straight to the market. He immediately grabs a stick, ready to beat me senseless if I'm planning something shady. Fair, given who he thinks I am. I just want to dress the deer properly before selling it. I compare his wood-cutting knife to mine, decide his is sharper, and borrow it. Then I get to work, slicing through the torn-up stomach, cutting clean along the spine, working my arm and up to the shoulder to detach the head. Erju, give me a hand lifting the head. He's too stunned to even ask why, just helps. One sharp crack and the head's off clean. He's staring at me like I've grown a second face. I explain it away. Animal damage might hurt the resale price, so I'm cleaning it up first. What I don't say, butchery is basically a side skill for any surgeon. If I had an actual scalpel instead of a wood-cutting knife, I could have done a human body faster than this deer. The antlers are too old to be valuable, no blood worth collecting since it's a male without fawn parts. But the deer penis and tendons are worth real money, and the meat itself has medicinal value too. I work through the whole carcass with clean, practiced motions, joints popping out exactly where I want them, organs removed without wasting anything. Erju watches my soft, never-done manual labor hands move like a professional butcher and visibly shudders. Xie Ning, where the hell did you learn to butcher pigs? I mean deer? I tell him I read it in some random book once. He's baffled. In his world, books are for passing exams, not gutting livestock. I brush it off and quickly reassemble the deer to look intact, hiding all the bite damage so it looks untouched. Once we're in the city, I don't have him head toward the restaurants. I direct him to the east side of town, the wealthy district, since rich neighborhoods are always on the east side in places like this. Instead of knocking on front doors like an idiot, I work my way down the back alleys, knocking on back doors one at a time. After getting turned away from house after house, Erju starts getting impatient, suggesting we just sell to a restaurant kitchen instead since he knows some chefs. I tell him to hold on. I expected this. Famine means everyone's already hunting and selling game on the side, so restaurant kitchens are already flooded with competition, and getting noticed by a wealthy household's back door is its own challenge entirely. At the next house, I slip the gatekeeper, a kid even younger than me, 2 coins before he can even slam the door on us. He sniffs, unimpressed, but tells us to wait, that if the door doesn't open again within the time it takes incense to burn down, we should leave. Erju's furious watching me bow and scrape to some teenager. Calls me an idiot for handing out coins to a random doorkeeper instead of keeping them. I just smile and explain, half joking, a doorkeeper at a prime minister's house outranks a regular official. I point at the plaque above the door and tell him, this isn't just some rich family's house. This is an actual government official's residence. Big difference between a mansion and a true estate. Erju immediately panics, grabbing my arm, insisting we leave right now. Original me might be a useless drunk, but he's still alive, and Erju's not about to let me get us both killed trying to sell a deer to an official's household. Then the back door opens again. A middle-aged man steps out, dressed in plain gray robes. You're the one selling the wild deer? That's right. I tell the steward, calm and confident. My brother and I caught this fresh this morning. Didn't even bother stopping at a restaurant. Came straight here. He starts to inspect the deer himself, but I'm faster. I lift the hide myself and show him how clean the job is. No mess for his kitchen staff to deal with. Just toss it straight in the pot. He's impressed. Most hunters who show up selling deer or boar don't bother cleaning the carcass this thoroughly, let alone mounting the head nicely for display. Then he frowns. Why's there a chunk missing from the belly? Erju panics and starts to explain the truth, that a chunk got lost dragging it down the mountain, but I cut him off smoothly. I tell the steward we set some aside as a gift for our elderly family members, since deer meat is great for the old and frail, and that we kept the blood at home too since it's hard to transport. That softens him instantly. Filial sons, how nice. He asks for my price. This is the moment that matters. Even the cheapest pork in the city runs over 20 coins a pound. A 200-pound deer sold to an official's household should easily clear 4 taels of silver. That's already half a year of Urju's wages from just one deer. Urju, eager to close the deal before I screw it up, starts to step in, but I pull him back and keep talking instead. I lay it all out for the steward. Deer meat as a tonic. Good for the elderly and children. The bones for soup. The fat for treating wounds. And then, carefully, suggest that the head could be mounted as a trophy if the master of the house enjoys archery or horsemanship. The steward's whole expression changes. Man to man now. He drops the formality and asks the question I was clearly building toward. What about the deer's other parts? He means the obvious one. I hand him the tail instead, smiling just enough to make my meaning clear without saying it outright. That whatever the master wants to do with certain other parts is his own business, but the tail works just as well for the same purpose, and he's welcome to enjoy it. I knew the second I confirmed this was a male deer that this particular part was going to be my real payday. The steward clearly reads exactly what I'm implying and privately marks me down as a sly little scholar. He buys the whole thing on the spot. Meat at 40 coins a pound, 3 taels for the head, and 3 more taels for that part. I don't haggle at all. When the silver, 12 taels total, actually lands in my hands, Urju slaps himself across the face out of pure shock, scaring me half to death. He can't believe we just sold a deer for that much. He thought 4 taels would have been an insane price. I just laugh and confirm. Yeah, we sold it, and now we can finally cook real meat instead of bean porridge. He punches my shoulder hard enough to nearly dislocate it, suddenly impressed that I've apparently developed a mouth on me. I hand him the 20 coins I promised for the cart ride, and thank him sincerely. Without him, I never would have had the nerve to knock on a noble family's back door alone. He brushes off the thanks, tells me to skip the formalities, and reminds me, half threat, half genuine concern, that he promised my dead mother he'd keep an eye on me, and if I go back to being a degenerate, he'll personally beat sense into me. With money in my pocket, I finally stopped being so stingy with purchases. I already bought a week's worth of medicine for Sue one yesterday, so instead I head to the bookshop from before. This time I actually go through the 4 books and 5 classics properly, ask about pricing, and confirm. Yeah, even the cheapest copy starts at a full tael. Deer don't fall out of the sky every day, so I asked the clerk, swallowing my pride, if there's a cheaper way to study. Turns out poor scholars around here use hand-copied texts instead of printed ones. Half the price, and copying texts by hand also helps with memorization. 2 birds, 1 stone. I don't hesitate. Get the shop owner to verify my handwriting's decent enough. Years of forced calligraphy practice back in middle school finally paying off, and walk out with 2 books. On the doctrine of the mean to copy by hand. Urju nearly faints when he sees how much paper and a rabbit hair brush costs. 800 coins, and can't believe I'm actually planning to study seriously. After the bookshop, I finally hit the butcher shop I never got to yesterday and buy a mountain of pork ribs and bones. By early afternoon, we're both starving, so I splurge on 15 big meat buns, and we eat them on the cart ride home, grease running down our chins. Urju won't stop lecturing me the whole ride, calling me wasteful for buying Sue one fancy new clothes when any old dress would do, and questioning why I bought 20 pounds of pork when it's not even a holiday, worried it'll spoil. Before we finish it, it reminds me weirdly of my own mother nagging me back in my old life, and instead of being annoyed, I just feel grateful that someone like this, gruff but genuinely caring, exists for a wreck like original me. I tell him honestly, she got hurt badly, and I treated her badly before, so I want to make up for it a little. New clothes aren't an everyday thing, just this once, and there's nothing wrong with spending a little to make my own wife happy. Remembering how cold and miserable the bed was last night, I also mention I bought cotton and cloth, and ask if his wife, apparently the best seamstress in the village, could help sew us 2 new quilts. Small request, easy money for her. With the day's business finally done, I get a moment to actually breathe. The snow from the big storm earlier this year is still sitting heavy on the fields along the road, an endless white that makes the whole world look hopeless. It's already mid-March. We need to start planting by the end of April, I say, mostly to myself. Urju follows my stare out at the frozen fields, worried. If this snow doesn't melt soon, even people on our side of the border are going to start starving. I think about the history I know, entire dynasties that collapsed during many ice ages, crops failing for years on end, and a heavy feeling settles into my chest. Then, out in all that white, I catch a smear of deep red against the snow. Urju, look, is that a person over there? I'm about to jump off the cart when Urju grabs my arm. What are you doing? People die out here all the time during a famine. Mind your own business, he's not wrong. But just as the cart rolls past that lump on the ground, the dying man's eyes lock onto mine. Pure desperation, pure begging to live. Urju, stop the cart. I can't help myself. I get off anyway. Help. Help me. A man, lying in his own blood, eyes lighting up with hope the second he sees me, blood bubbling out with every breath. Don't move. I check his pulse first, then press my palm to his chest to count his heartbeat. Over 120 beats per minute. Even expecting the worst, that number still rattles me. Modern medicine has machines for all of this. Here, I don't even have basic hemostatic forceps. I pull his clothes open. Exactly what I feared. A deep slash running from his shoulder clear down to his stomach, bleeding freely. Urju is losing his mind. We need to leave, right now? Nobody survives this. This is bad luck, Xie Ning. Let's go. I'm no saint, and I'm definitely not trying to be some ancient do-gooder. But this guy's built like a wall, clearly someone important, and it feels like a waste to just let him die when there's still a chance. I ask if he's got any wound medicine on him. He just gurgles blood through his teeth. I don't wait for an answer. I go through his sleeves myself and find 2 small medicine bottles. The smell tells me everything. Nodo ginseng, biota leaf, and agrimony. The last one being seriously expensive, top-tier bleeding medicine. Confirms what I already suspected. This guy isn't some random villager. Urju, I need clean snow. Now. Out here with 0 water source. Cold snow is the best thing I've got to slow his bleeding. Urju mutters something about me losing my mind, but runs off to get it anyway, because a man's life is on the line. I tell the dying man straight. Moving him to find a real doctor in the city will kill him before we get there. So I improvise. I pull out the sewing needle I packed earlier for the bedding and tell him plainly, we're strangers, I can't promise much, but I'll try. If you die anyway, then you die. Brutal but honest. A sewing needle isn't ideal, but it's something. He watches, barely conscious, as I push the needle into 4 major pressure points, Qihai, Guanyuan, Shuehai, Yinbai, to slow the bleeding at the source. Then I grab his hair and warn him. 1 more needle, into Tianzhu at the back of his neck, and it's going to hurt badly. It does. The second the needle goes in, he nearly convulses, eyes bulging. Urju gets back with the snow right as I need it. I grab handfuls and pack it directly into the wound, rubbing it in. And then, it actually works. Xie Ning. The bleeding. It's stopping. Yeah, no time to chat. I tell Urju to thread a needle for me. Thread it for what? To stitch the wound, obviously. Hurry, he doesn't have much time left. After a quick cleaning, I dust hemostatic powder over the wound. And by the time Urju's got the needle threaded, I'm already stitching the torn flesh back together. He just stares, speechless, watching stitches go in neater than anything his own wife's ever sewn onto his pants. I've only ever heard of bandaging wounds. You're sewing him up like cloth? I work fast. Back in my old life, I was one of the quickest suturing surgeons in a top hospital, under bright lights and magnification. A sewing needle on a guy bleeding out in the snow is basically the same motion as stitching a shoe sole. I finish with a clean surgical knot, pull back, and check his pulse again. Dropping, now under 110. I let out a long breath. Okay, he's stable for now. For a few seconds, nothing moves except the wind. The man tries to say something, then his eyes fall shut. I sit on the ground for a minute to catch my breath, then tell Urju to help me load him onto the cart. What? Onto the cart? He's going to die on my cart, same guy who threatened to whip me for throwing up on his cart earlier, somehow even more upset about an actual dying man. I'm too exhausted from the entire day, mountain, deer, city, now this, to argue. He's not dying. Even death doesn't want him, apparently. Back near the city gate, we lift him down and lay him in the middle of the main road. I scatter a few dozen coins around him and tell him quietly, saving a life is worth more than any temple offering. I don't need repayment, just a chance to live. And if anyone passing by sees the coins, maybe they'll help too. I get up to leave. Something tugs my sleeve. I turn around. His eyes are open. Voice rough. Benefactor. Your name? I tell him honestly. We're strangers. Fate brought us together for this one moment. My name doesn't matter. I'm just a regular man trying to get by quietly. I ask him not to look for me, and not to bring trouble to my door. Because looking at him now, there's no mistaking it. Ordinary people don't survive wounds like this, and ordinary people definitely don't wear deerskin boots that cost more than most people make in a year. Urju's already back on the cart, done waiting. I start to walk off. The man struggles, reaching into his pocket, pulling something out with great effort, voice straining. I have nothing else to repay this debt with. Please, benefactor, take this. It's a white jade pendant, smooth and warm, carved with a Chilean pattern. Even someone as clueless as me about antiques knows this thing is worth real money. I don't dare take payment from a man I know nothing about under normal circumstances. But a single piece of jade? Sure, I'll take that. Worst case, I just don't show it off in public. Best case, in a famine like this, it might literally save my life one day. I'll take it then. Take care of yourself. Urju, let's go home. The whole ride back, Urju won't stop grumbling, even stopping to scrub down his cart with grass and snow before we enter the village, apparently terrified of what his wife will say if she finds anything weird on it. I tease him about being whipped, and he just grunts and doesn't deny it. The second we roll into the village, we're swarmed. Everyone's eyes are locked on the basket in the cart, like vultures. Xie Ning, you struck it rich. How much the deer go for? 2 taels? Look at that basket, it's packed full of meat. None of your business. Urju snaps before I can even open my mouth, cracking his whip dangerously close to someone's face. My brother sold a deer through his own skill, so back off. Even if he bought 100 pounds of meat, none of you are getting a drop of grease off. That's when the village's favorite gossip, Widow Zhang, pipes up with her sharp little voice, claiming I'm her little brother, not Urju's, reminding everyone I once carried water for her. Hearing her call me little brother, in that tone makes my skin crawl. I remember original me apparently did carry water for her, and quietly think, of course he did, smooth operator. I immediately correct the record, loudly, in front of everyone. That water carrying was a favor for a different guy in the village, and that I already have a wife at home. Thank you very much. She tries pushing back, clearly annoyed I'm not playing along anymore. But the village head's son steps in and humiliates her properly, pointing out she's old enough to be my mother and definitely shouldn't be calling herself sister to anyone in this village. She slinks off, still sneaking glances at the cart. The village head's son asks if I made decent money off the deer. I owe him some respect, so I keep it vague, enough to cover my wife's medicine. True statement, since city medicine isn't cheap, and if I weren't able to write my own prescriptions, even a basic consultation would cost a fortune. That should be the end of it. Except Zhang Lizi, the same guy from this morning who got snubbed. Can't resist pushing further, asking outright if I made 2 taels. I shut him down cold. None of your business. Even if I made 100 taels, it wouldn't involve you one bit. Urju, let's head home. As we pull away, the crowd turns on Zhang Lizi instead, mocking him for trying to cozy up to me earlier and getting nothing for it. He grinds his teeth, spits on the ground, and mutters something about getting even with me eventually. Noted. Again. Back home, I check the doorstep first, relieved to see no surprises this time. Urju helps unload everything, takes the cotton and cloth for his wife to sew quilts with, and offers to have her make me a new shirt from the leftover fabric too. I thank him. My current clothes still smell like the puking incident from yesterday, vomit stained no matter how many times they're washed, so a replacement is more than welcome. Before he leaves, I hand him 5 pounds of pork and the deer fat I'd saved specifically for him. He immediately refuses, practically panicking, reminding me he only looks after me because we grew up nursing from the same mother. His own mom couldn't produce milk, so my mother fed us both. That he sees me as a real little brother, and that I shouldn't be giving away money I clearly need for my own sick wife. I push back, half joking, threatening to give the pork to Widow Zhang instead if he won't take it. That gets him. He glares, grumbles, but eventually accepts, grudgingly admitting his wife won't be able to complain about me anymore once she sees this much pork in the house. He tries to give the deer fat back too, saying there's barely any of it left worth keeping. I insist he take it anyway. Have his wife render it into oil, since it's great for treating frostbite and burns, and I don't trust my own hands not to waste it. I just ask for half back once it's rendered. He agrees and heads home. Once he's gone, I carry everything into the kitchen, break down the rest of the pork into pieces, and leave it to freeze on the roof. Boil a pot of water with the last of our firewood. Wash myself properly, and get the bones and ribs soaking and cleaned before finally heading into the bedroom. I hear voices in the yard. Just me and Urju earlier, talking before he left for the day. Suwon's been sitting alone all day, anxious, wondering whether I actually meant what I said about not selling her. I push the door open. You doing okay? She's half propped against the bed, one shoulder bare, wearing one of my old shirts since she has nothing else. This morning she was too overwhelmed to notice, but now, catching my eye, her whole face goes red. I'm fine. I sit on the bed edge and check her pulse again, trying to keep my eyes neutral despite how flustered she looks. Same readings as this morning, just a slightly faster heartbeat. I clear my throat. You probably haven't eaten since this morning. I warmed up some buns, food's almost ready in the kitchen. Eat this first, meat buns again. She takes it nervously, clearly still unsure if I'm actually in a good mood or not. And remembering how strange I was this morning, she asks carefully, husband, have you eaten? That word, husband, knocks me completely off guard. A wave of heat I haven't felt in this body before rushes straight to my gut. I cough hard, way too obviously fake. I ate. She reads my awkwardness as anger, immediately panicking internally that she's upset me again. The silence that follows is brutal. I don't know whether to stay or leave, and this body's hormones clearly have opinions of their own, so I change the subject. Anyway, I bought you a new outfit. Want to see it? New clothes? After everything she's been told today, this still doesn't compute. I bring out a pale blue dress, and she rubs her eyes like she doesn't trust what she's seeing. This is really for me? She doesn't even dare touch it, like it might shatter the second she does. Of course it's for you. You think I'm planning to wear a dress? I say, trying to lighten the mood, and it actually works. Her panic eases a little. Put it on after dinner, once I've changed your bandages. Then I remember something important. By the way, I was out all day. How did you manage today? Bathroom-wise. She blinks at me, totally lost. I cough again, mortified, forcing the words out. I mean, going to the bathroom. Her face goes solid red from her neck up. Technically, we're married, so this conversation shouldn't even be embarrassing between us, except we've never actually been intimate. Before today, original me never even let her into the bedroom. She slept on firewood in the kitchen. She mumbles that the neighbor girl, Xie Ning, Urju's concubine, helped her. I'm relieved. Doesn't matter how attractive someone is. Helping with that particular task is not something I have the patience for, sick wife or not. Right, the food's still cooking. Let me go check, I say, fleeing the room immediately, leaving her alone, blushing at nothing. After a long pause, she mutters to herself, he's like a completely different person. Pork bones need a couple hours to make real broth, so I pull out the broth I already started, finish a stir-fried rib dish with what little seasoning we have, and toss in some frozen green onions from the garden for good measure. No ginger, no garlic, but the whole pot still smells incredible. I got home too late to cook rice, so dinner's just meat buns and meat dish, meat on meat, basically, partly to celebrate not dying today, and partly to celebrate the money. When I bring in the bowl of ribs, Suwon just stares. Husband, this is? I'm in a good enough mood that my smile probably looks unfairly charming. Made some money in town today. Let's eat well tonight. There's broth too. Save that for before bed. Made money. Hearing those words from this particular husband sounds completely foreign to her. She watches me search the house for something, anything, to use as a table, and I eventually drag the kitchen cutting board over onto a stool, muttering under my breath about how ridiculous it is that we don't even own a proper table. Seriously, what kind of household doesn't have a table to eat at? Original me really was exactly as useless as everyone keeps telling me. Half the house is collapsed, the bed's falling apart. I don't even own a spare set of clothes, and somehow I'm planning to study for the imperial exams on top of all this. Money just keeps disappearing into this life's endless problems. We sit and eat in silence for a bit while I'm mentally cursing original me and doing math on our finances. She stays quiet too scared to break whatever good mood I'm currently in. Now that her husband's finally changed for the better, she's terrified of jinxing it back to how things were. Eat more? I say, dropping a big piece of rib onto her bowl. Thank you, husband, she says, voice barely above a whisper. I glance up at her flushed face and, for no good reason, blurt out, husband? Did you used to call me that before? She freezes, clearly not expecting the question. Embarrassed, she practically buries her face in her bowl. I never called you that before. That's not technically true. She did, once. It just earned her a beating, so she never tried again. The only reason she's brave enough to say it now is because of how drastically I've changed today. Back when she had nothing to do but lie around, she used to read those old ghost story books about scholars secretly possessed by spirits who married rich men's daughters, and she'd quietly pray something. Anything, ghost or spirit, she didn't care, had replaced her actual husband. Anyone but the original Xie Ning. So today, hearing her admit that, something in me eases. I drop another rib onto her bowl, and without even noticing my own tone, say with a little too much pride, eat more. I'll change your bandages in a bit. And tell me if you need the bathroom. Don't be shy about it. When it got dark, Urju showed up with 2 old quilts, used by his own sons when they were little, complete with the lingering smell of kid pee. Whatever. After last night's cold, I'm not complaining. Back in the room, Suwon won't even look at me, head down, face going red just from the steam coming off the bucket of hot water by the bed. Husband, I'm ready. She's nervous about the bath I need to give her, since her ribs make it impossible for her to wash herself. Up until yesterday, she only ever felt fear around her husband. Now something's clearly shifted in her head, and that word, husband, lands on me with a weight it shouldn't have. I tighten my jaw and try hard not to look at her, but it's impossible not to notice things while washing someone down. That pale neck, that collarbone. Technically, she's my wife. Technically, if I wanted anything from her right now, she'd let me, because that's apparently how things work here. I don't act on it, obviously, but my body has opinions I don't fully control in this borrowed flesh. She keeps her hands clamped over her chest the whole time out of pure embarrassment, not realizing I already saw everything anyway. Dr. Brain be damned. Before bed, I make her a bed properly, bring her medicine, then retreat to the kitchen and study by firelight since we can't afford oil for a lamp. I read through the doctrine of the mean, its whole point being moderation, restraint, a kind of self-discipline meant to keep a person and an entire empire in line. I get through the first chapter from memory easily, comparing it to old philosophy lectures from my university days. Chapter 3 is where my brain stalls, mostly because my fingers are too frozen to write properly. I really do need a table and a proper study space, eventually. When I get back to bed, she's already asleep, lying on the outer edge. I don't disturb her, just climb in past her and slowly warm up under blankets that still smell like someone's childhood. Too much happened today. I'm out within minutes. Next morning, rooster crowing, Suwon wakes up pressed against my bare chest. The second she shifts, my arm around her waist tightens instinctively. Don't move. Mornings are apparently a problem for any man's body, mine included. I only fell asleep a little while before she must have drifted toward the warmth in her sleep and ended up curled into me. I'm no saint. Sleeping like this is genuinely warmer than sleeping alone, and frankly no man alive would push away someone this soft and warm pressed against him. She freezes completely, chest against mine, heart pounding loud enough she's sure I can hear it. She also notices, with rising panic, exactly how warm certain parts of me are getting. She doesn't know whether moving or staying still is worse. Then I bury my face in her neck completely, breathing her in, and mumble, half asleep, completely unguarded, let's sleep a bit more. It's the first genuinely good night's sleep I've had since landing in this body. I cook breakfast again, leftover ribs, millet rice, corn porridge. I wait around afterward, hoping she'll bring up the bathroom situation herself, but she stays quiet, so I just grab my basket and head up the mountain. Still snow everywhere, but I take my time this round instead of rushing. The treatment the pharmacy's currently using for the drug addiction is a short-term fix at best. That kind of artificial stimulant burns through a person's body fast, and without the right long-term formula, addicts just deteriorate until there's nothing left. I find what I'm looking for, a patch of oxtongue weed peeking green through the snow. That's a key fever-reducing herb. Combined with snake tongue grass and pine needles, It makes the exact detox formula I had in mind. Snake tongue grass is rare elsewhere, but this mountain's loaded with it, and pine needles are everywhere. I gather a full batch of everything along with other herbs from before. By the time I head down, this mountain looks like a literal gold mine to me. Word's already spread through the village about the deer, so I don't bother avoiding the main road. Sure enough, the crowd at the millstone is staring at my basket like it's about to reveal gold bars. "What did you bring down today? That basket looks heavy," one neighbor asks. "Some useless weeds and twigs," I tell him honestly. "You think you'll actually sell that in town?" The village blacksmith scoffs, treating me like I've lost my mind chasing easy money. I just tell him I'm going to try my luck. Maybe someone in the city has more coin than sense. I walk off without waiting for a reaction. Behind me, people start gossiping about how money's changed me. Apparently original me used to grovel for the blacksmith's attention, and now I barely give him the time of day. The blacksmith, annoyed, decides he's owed money from when original me begged him for funeral help, and plans to come collect this afternoon. Urju's already in the city selling firewood, so he's not around to help today. The village head's son catches up to me at the edge of the village instead. "Xie Ning, I'm headed into town anyway. Want to ride part of the way?" Quiet ride into town. Once we split off, I head straight for the pharmacy. I push through the crowd to talk to the shopkeeper, but before I get a word out, he spins around, recognizes me, and his whole face lights up. "It's you, the scholar. You finally came back." He grabs me and pulls me straight into the back room before I can say anything. Dr. Wu's in there mid-needle on some patient, annoyed at the noise. Withdrawal patients get this brutal, charred-looking blood rash all over their limbs once the drug's stimulant effect wears off. He turns around, irritated, until the shopkeeper announces who I am. The scholar who suggested swapping out the poison herb. Dr. Wu nearly jumps out of his seat. He spent 2 sleepless nights cross-referencing old medical texts just to understand my suggestion theoretically. Understanding it and actually deploying it as treatment are 2 very different things in medicine. He grabs both my hands like I'm a long-lost grandson and demands to know where I learned this. I have to give him something, so I make up a story. A wandering monk passed through years ago. My mother fed him. He gave me a medical text in return. "Where's the text now?" I tell him it rotted away with age. He's crushed. So I throw him a lifeline. I tell him I remember most of the contents anyway. For the next half hour, I talk. He writes everything down like a student taking dictation from a master, except age reversed, which is honestly a little funny to watch. By the end, he's stunned, finally understanding why every patient who came through this clinic ended up covered in sores regardless of treatment. Obviously they would. Nobody's been treating the actual root cause. He works through the logic with me. Switching to wolfsbane, burnet root, and the right balance could fully cure the addiction, but burnet root's expensive. Way more than the poison herb they've been using. I let him sit with that frustration for a second before responding, calmly, that not every effective treatment is affordable for every patient. That sets him off. He assumes I'm suggesting poor patients should just be left to die. I clarify, patiently. I'm not saying replace the existing treatment outright. They've got months, maybe years of patients already committed to the current method, and switching formulas on a patient population this large carries real risk. The actual danger right now isn't the addiction itself, it's the blood source. Those kill people faster than slow detox ever will. "So what do you suggest?" The shopkeeper's leaning in now too, fully invested. I pull out the herbs I gathered, pine needles and ox-tongue weed, and lay out a second, cheap, easy-to-source formula. Made into a simple tonic, taken 3 times daily dissolved in water, it'll visibly reduce the sores within a week and fully clear the toxin buildup within 6 months for mild cases, a year for severe ones. Dr. Wu stares at the herbs like they personally insulted him. Pine needles and ox-tongue weed. Cure blood sores. Why didn't I think of that? He's practically vibrating between excitement and existential crisis, muttering about needing to go check his old medical texts to figure out why something this basic never occurred to him in a lifetime of practicing medicine. Then he just bolts out of the room and slams the door. I'm left a little stunned myself. The shopkeeper just sighs and explains. Dr. Wu comes from a long line of physicians, has treated patients his whole life, and this particular poison has stumped even the imperial court's own doctors. Having some random kid solve it with a smarter, cheaper method is bound to rattle him a little. Then his whole demeanor shifts, suddenly serious. "Scholar, Let's actually talk. Turns out this pharmacy, UNG Hall, is the biggest one in the whole city and the only place in the entire Northwest region that offers treatment for this addiction, which explains the endless line outside every single time I've walked past. If literally everyone in the region detoxing from this drug funnels through this one shop, that's not just a treatment, that's an entire regional revenue stream. People get sick no matter the era. That's always been the most reliable business in any economy, modern or ancient. The shopkeepers clearly sized me up already, especially the second I pulled real herbs out of my basket instead of just talking theory. He's not buying that I came here with nothing to gain. Xie Ning, you understand that not everyone who runs a pharmacy here is purely interested in saving lives, right? Of course, I tell him. Then why hand Dr. Wu a cure for free? You know, a formula like this could have earned you a real reward straight from the government if you reported it yourself. I just smile calm. I know that too. But I'm nobody, no rank, no family backing me. Even if I kept the formula for myself, I don't have the power to protect it, let alone the standing to walk into a government office and ask for a reward that lands. He clearly respects the read. Given how unstable things are right now politically, even his own pharmacy wouldn't have kept this treatment exclusive for long without serious backing. Someone would have stolen it ages ago otherwise. So what exactly do you want out of this? You're not telling me you want nothing. He sets his tea down, smiling. Because I don't believe that for a second. Of course there's something, I tell him. You already said yourself the times are unstable. My wife's sick. Studying for the exams costs money. Living costs money. I honestly came here hoping for a small favor. Never expected to meet two genuinely good men like you and Dr. Wu. Enough flattery. We're going to be doing business for a long time. You don't need to butter me up every time. Got it. Steward at the Noble House and this guy are nothing alike. This guy doesn't waste time. I match his directness. I'll give the detox formula away free and the sore treatment formula too. But I have one condition you need to agree to first. Watching me drop the humble act, he visibly relaxes, like he's finally seeing the real me underneath all that earlier politeness. What's the condition? The herbs for the sore treatment medicine have to come from me. Only me. Here's the math. That tonic needs to be taken 3 times a day for at least 3 months for mild cases. Even at 3 coins per dose, that's 10 coins a day, a tael of silver a month per patient. And given how widespread this addiction is across the whole Northwest region, with basically every patient at this clinic for the past year coming in for nothing but detox treatment, anyone who doesn't want to suffer through blood sores is going to be buying this medicine. The scale here is genuinely incalculable. And obviously the pharmacy isn't going to sell the actual finished tonic for 3 coins a dose. They'll mark it up plenty. Even if I'm only profiting off the raw herb supply, that's still an enormous number. The shopkeeper clearly respects the calculation. Smart kid. Xie Ning, this treatment needs 7 days to verify results. I haven't seen it work yet. If it doesn't work, consider everything you've said today just talk. Translation. If the cure doesn't pan out, the earlier formula improvement counts for nothing either. And if it does work, then every batch of detox medicine my pharmacy sells, the raw herbs come exclusively from you. Meanwhile, back in the village, completely separate from anything I know is happening, Xiaoning, Erju's concubine, is gushing over Su Wan's new dress, admitting she and the senior wife didn't believe Erju when he said original me had actually changed and bought his wife real clothes from a shop in town, not homemade ones. Xiaoying and the other refugee women in the village share Su Wan's same background, sold or married off after fleeing here, mostly as concubines, living just barely above starvation. Yesterday, thanks to the pork I gave Erju, Xiaoying actually got to eat meat for the first time in ages, since there was so much that even the senior wife shared some around. Xiaoying tells Su Wan she's got it made now. If her husband's really turned over a new leaf, good days are ahead. Su Wan, wearing the new dress with no mirror to check herself in, judges by Xiaoying's envious staring that it must look good on her. But thinking about how fast and how completely I've changed, she admits, uneasy, I don't know if he'll stay this way. It just feels too fast, too complete, almost like he's a different person. A different person? Xiaoying's husband apparently said something almost identical, that I seem possessed. Xiaoying lowers her voice, genuinely spooked, bringing up superstitions about brothels being full of restless ghosts. wondering out loud if some wandering spirit quietly took over my body. No, that can't be. Suwon swallows hard, scared. Xiaoying lists the evidence. New clothes, free meat for Erju's family, talking gently to everyone. None of it lines up with the old Xie Ning at all. It really does seem that way. Suwon admits, then shudders, remembering she willingly curled into my arms last night. If a ghost really did possess me, she basically invited it in herself. Xiaoying, younger than Suwon, gets genuinely scared, warning that a possessing spirit might be draining her life force, slowly killing her over time. She asks if I've been sneaking into Suwon's bed at night. Apparently Erju, terrified of his actual wife, only sneaks into Xiaoying's bed in secret at night and slips back out before dawn. No, Suwon says, shaking her head. Good. Good. Means it hasn't started draining your life force yet. Xiaoying remembers something. Apparently there's a temple at the west end of a neighboring village known for answering prayers, supposedly cures possessed children and people with fits. She offers to sneak out tomorrow and get a protective charm for Suwon, guaranteed to scatter whatever ghost is possessing me. Suwon agrees, telling her to go ahead. Xiaoying's been excused from chores for a couple days, so slipping out should be easy, and she can claim she was just visiting. Just don't get a normal charm, Suwon adds. What kind then? Suwon grips the blanket tight and says, dead serious. Get one that makes sure the old Xie Ning never comes back. The two of them are mid-conversation, thoroughly spooked by ghost talk, when a furious voice booms from outside, scaring them both half to death. Where's Xie Ning? Get Xie Ning out here. I leave the pharmacy and head for the city gate, planning to flag down a cart. Turns out Xie Dali, the village head's son, is already waiting there with his own cart. Xie Ning. Over here, his cart's empty both ways, which makes it pretty obvious he wasn't actually running errands at all. He was waiting for me. I climb up. Finished your business already? Yeah. Wasn't sure if you'd already left. Figured I'd take a chance waiting here. Take a chance. Right. Xie Dali's the village head's son, steady and responsible like his father. From the memories in my head, original me and him used to be genuinely close. He's actually the reason original me first got interested in studying in the first place, before Zhang Lizi dragged him down a worse path and the friendship fell apart. Honestly, lucky for me that it fell apart. Otherwise I'd have no idea what to even say to this guy right now. Halfway through the ride, he brings up something. My wife went to visit her family yesterday, said you're planning to study again. I'm surprised for a second. Then remember, his wife's from the city, and her younger brother works at the bookshop. So that condescending shop clerk who side-eyed me yesterday is Xie Dali's brother-in-law. Small world. Yeah, I'm considering it. His wife apparently saw the contract I signed for copying texts and mentioned it, unsure if I was serious. Watching me now, he seems convinced I actually am. We grew up together, so I'll cut to it. If you're serious about studying, I can talk to my father about having the village cover your education costs. That catches me off guard. Didn't expect this offer at all. He explains, the village has shared communal funds saved up over the years. They never offered to fund original me before because nobody trusted he'd stick with it. But now that I seem serious, he's willing to push for it with his father. I get it immediately. In this world, farmers rank just above merchants but below scholars and officials. Getting even one person from the village into an official rank, even a minor one, benefits the whole village through reduced taxes and general protection. Our village hasn't formed any real clan power yet, but there are easily 30 households sharing the Xie surname here. The village head's family isn't close to mine personally, but blood ties still count for something politically. A single tree doesn't make a forest. I'm not about to turn down genuine goodwill being offered freely. Thank you, Brother Dali. I'll think it over seriously. Good. Let me know when you decide. The village is close enough that he drops me almost at my own door. Before I even reach the house, I see a crowd of villagers blocking my doorway, craning their necks to stare into the yard. What's going on? Dali starts to ask, but I'm already jumping off the cart. The crowd parts the second they see it's me. 1 foot into the yard, and I see red, literally furious. A pack of men I recognize from the millstone crowd has Suwon cornered against the door. Xiaoying's on the ground, clearly just kicked for trying to protect her, and as I watch, someone kicks her again, straight at her head this time. Hey, concubine sticking her nose in other people's business. Get out of the way. Stop. I'm between them and Suwon in 2 steps. pulling Xie Ning up off the ground. I scan the crowd, fury rising. What exactly is this? You all decided to come bully my wife the second I left the house? Husband. Suwon's barely holding herself up against the doorframe, and seeing me, all her composure cracks at once. Are you okay? I check her over immediately, worry and rage both flooding in. Did they touch you? She shakes her head. They didn't hit her, but a few of the women tried stripping her new dress off her, and only Xie Ning physically blocking them stopped it. Xie Ning, still recovering from the kick, finally finds her voice now that I'm back. Xie Ning, they're saying you owe them money. Said they were going to take Su Wan's dress as payment. Oh, money? Payment? Before I can process that, some sharp-eyed woman shoves forward, indignant. Debts get paid. That's just how it works. He owes us silver, and meanwhile some refugee beggars walking around in store-bought clothes while the people who lend him money can't even afford new clothes themselves. How much did that even cost? Taking money and spending it on luxuries instead of paying us back. Shameless, shameless. 2 lifetimes lived, and nobody's ever called me that to my face before. I almost laugh, except I'm too angry. Is your husband the blacksmith dead, that he's sending his wife out to do his yelling for him? I owe your family money, not my life. You think you can strip my wife's clothes off in front of the whole village and walk away from this? My voice comes out cold enough that the blacksmith's wife actually steps back, for a second. Then, glancing at her husband for backup, she gets bolder instead. Don't threaten me. I'll strip her clothes off right now if you don't pay up. Take one more step, something snaps. I pull the wood-cutting knife out of my basket and hold it right at her throat. The crowd erupts. Heavens! Xie Ning's pulled a knife? Murder? Murder! Xie Ning, calm down. Xie Dali steps in fast, trying to get between us. I angle the blade away from him without lowering it. I'm not moving until everyone here understands. Nobody touches my wife. I get it now. In this village, the men size each other up by status, and the women in their households get treated exactly as well as their husbands are respected. Original me apparently commanded zero respect from anyone, man or woman. If I don't draw a hard line right now, in front of everyone, Su Wan and I both get walked over for the rest of our lives here. Blacksmith, if you've got the nerve to stand up like a man, settle this account between us directly, right now. Otherwise, keep your wife out of it. If I hurt her defending myself, that's not on me. The blacksmith can't hide behind the crowd anymore. He steps forward, scowling, chin up like he's the wrong party here. Xie Ning, the loan's written in black and white. Either pay up now, or hand over the 3 acres you mortgaged to me. So that's what this is actually about. And for the first time, I don't blame original me at all. His parents died back to back with nothing left in the house, and at 19, he wasn't about to bury them in straw mats with no coffin. He borrowed 5 taels from the blacksmith for proper coffins, using the family's only good farmland, 3 acres, as collateral. Debts get paid, that's fair. I owe your family silver. I don't owe you, personally, anything beyond that. I keep my voice flat, clear, loud enough for the whole crowd. I borrowed 5 taels from my parents' coffins, put up 3 acres as collateral, agreed to 10% monthly interest, 300 coins a month, and I have never missed a single payment. So why exactly did your wife think it was acceptable to come here and humiliate mine? And now you're here angling to take the land outright on top of everything you've already collected? Quite the little scheme you've got going. The crowd erupts again. Turns out nobody knew the loan was actually a land mortgage with brutal interest, and several people suddenly remember seeing the blacksmith and his wife harvesting crops on that exact plot of land last fall, assuming at the time they were just helping out. Apparently, they weren't helping at all. They were collecting their own crop, off land they'd already claimed as theirs. The crowd starts ripping into the blacksmith now. Apparently, he's been quietly doing this to other villagers too, calling himself generous for lending coffin money while actually seizing their best farmland behind the scenes. Someone remembers a time the blacksmith refused to lend money to a sick kid's family last year, suddenly understanding why. He'd already sunk that capital into other people's land instead. Stop talking, just pay up, the blacksmith snaps, voice ugly now. I don't flinch. Bring me the land deed, and I'll pay you back to the last coin. He's already got the deed on him. Clearly came here today planning to seize the land outright, never expecting I'd actually pay. The crowd goes wild again at the number alone. 5 taels of silver, More cash than anyone in this village besides the village head's family could produce on the spot. Suddenly, everyone understands why I've been too busy to chat lately. I really did strike it rich. Siadali's staring at me like he's seeing a stranger. He'd actually been worried that money in my hands would just mean a faster trip back to the brothel. Instead, here I am, paying off debts and apparently serious about studying. A few days, and I'm a completely different person to him. Hand over the deed. I say, palm out. The blacksmith's face goes sour. He hands it over, but tries one more angle, claiming the month's almost over, implying he wants another month's interest tacked on. Siadali jumps in immediately, on my behalf. He doesn't owe you March's interest, and he sure doesn't owe you April's in advance. I pull out everything I've got, 2 small silver pieces, 1 full 5-tael piece, and a fistful of loose copper coins, and hand the 5 taels straight to Dolly, asking him to witness the transaction and personally retrieve my parents' land deed. Partly so the blacksmith can't pull anything sneaky in front of everyone. Partly because I'm happy to hand Dolly this exact kind of public moment. He's the village head's son. He needs these wins. Dolly takes the silver, surprised, then turns hard on the blacksmith. Deed. And the loan note. The blacksmith reluctantly pulls out the loan note, and Dolly snatches it straight out of his hand before he can even pass it to me properly. That's when the blacksmith's wife pipes up again, insisting 5 taels isn't enough, that we agreed to an extra 3 months' interest on top, demanding 1 more tael. 1 month's interest was already double the legal rate. 3 extra months on top of that would be 900 coins, still 100 short of a full tael anyway. She's not even doing the math right. A few villagers shoot her openly disgusted looks. I'm done being polite. I scatter the loose copper coins on the ground in front of her and say flatly, empty threats now? Trying to squeeze more out of me? You want money that badly? Old hag, bend down and pick it up yourself. I grind 1 coin into the dirt with my heel. Dead silence. So quiet you can actually hear someone swallow. Nobody expected this. A guy who got bullied his whole life suddenly drawing a knife and humiliating an entire family in 1 afternoon. Even Dolly's brain stalls out for a second, until he catches the look I give him. This is his moment to step up, not smooth things over. If he's going to take over from his father as village head someday, this is exactly the kind of conflict he needs to handle decisively instead of staying neutral. The blacksmith's face goes white. Not only did the land grab fail completely, he's lost every shred of dignity in front of the whole village. His wife eyes the coins on the ground, clearly tempted, starts to bend down, and gets kicked hard by her own husband. Pick it up? Have some shame. Get inside, now. Once they finally leave, the yard goes awkwardly quiet. I turn to check on Su Wan, and that's when a timid voice pipes up from the crowd. Xie Ning, you owe me money too. Me too. Remember, before New Year's, you borrowed 200 coins from my house. You owe my family 100 coins, and mine. I almost lose it right there. How many people did original me actually borrow from? Thankfully, Dolly steps in to keep order. If you genuinely lent him money, speak up. If you didn't, shut up and stop piling on. Debts get paid, fair's fair, and since I'm the one stuck in this body now, I'm the one who owes. For the next several minutes, I'm pulling coins out of my pocket for half the village. 100 here, 200 there, 50, 30, until I run completely dry and have to scrape my own scattered coins back up off the ground to cover the rest. Just as the crowd's finally thinning out, someone tugs my sleeve. I look down. Dolly's 5-year-old son, red-faced, sniffling, looking up at me with total sincerity. Uncle Ning, you still owe me 5 coins. That was my New Year's money from Grandma. You said you'd pay me back. Original me apparently scammed a literal child out of his New Year's allowance. I genuinely don't have words for how shameless this guy was. I rub my face, force myself into something resembling a dignified adult, and count out 10 coins through gritted teeth. Here, your 5 coins back, plus 5 extra for waiting so patiently. The kid breaks into a gap-toothed grin and bows dramatically. Thank you, Uncle Ning. All right, go play. Dolly ruffles his son's hair, visibly fighting not to laugh. Go ahead and laugh if you're going to. I tell him, jaw clenched. He loses it completely, laughing loud enough I can see the back of his throat. Just when I think the day's debts are finally settled, Zhang Lizi steps out from what's left of the crowd, eyes sharp with resentment. Xie Ning, you paid back a 5-year-old. So what about what you owe me? Of course there's never an end to this. If it had been literally anyone else asking for money, I might have just paid up and moved on. But it's this guy? I point at myself, then at him, voice dripping with disbelief. I owe you money. Jean Lizy's the type who only picks fights he thinks he can win. Knows full well Dolly's standing right here protecting me. But he's clearly jealous watching half the village walk away with my coins, so he pushes anyway. Of course you owe me. Who do you think paid for your visits to the brothel? The second the word, brothel, comes out, Suwon's whole face changes. I turn fast, see her staring at me, frozen, and the words come out before I even think them through. I never went there. You never went? Then who was it begging me to take him there to see what it was like? Xie Ning. Don't forget where you came from. Forget your mother's. That's it. I'm done. I grab the wood-cutting knife and hurl it without blinking, blade burying itself in the dirt an inch from his foot, the handle still vibrating from the impact. Jean Lizy nearly jumps out of his skin, 3 inches to the left, and that would have gone straight through his foot. Get out. Now, say one more word, and I'll skin you myself. Everyone in the yard, including Dolly, is visibly shaken. Original me was a coward who flinched at confrontation, and now here I am throwing knives without hesitation. To them, I'm a completely different person. Xie Ning, you. Dolly genuinely looks scared for a second. Village disputes happen, but nobody actually wants a death on their hands. He pulls me back, snaps at Jean Lizy to get lost. Once the crowd finally clears out, Dolly turns back to me, serious. Think over what we talked about today. He means the village funding my studies. He helped me a lot today, and pooling resources always beats going it alone. I will, brother Dolly. He sighs. I know what the blacksmith's family did wasn't right. But if you're serious about the exams, you need to rein in that temper a bit. Don't lose the watermelon chasing the sesame seed. It's not worth it. Reputation matters most for a scholar. That much I already know. But there's a stubborn edge in me that won't budge. I understand what you mean, brother Dolly. A man can endure plenty in this life. Some things, though, just can't be swallowed. I can let people throw dirt at me all day. I can't let anyone disrespect my wife. He shakes his head, gives up on the lecture, and leaves. I help Suwon inside, reassuring her. Nobody's ever going to bully us again, I promise. She nods, still shaking from real fear today, terrified of being stripped in front of everyone. Whatever else she is, the daughter of a disgraced official, she'd rather die than be humiliated like that. Husband, she finally asks the question she's clearly been holding back. How did we suddenly get this much money? I explained properly this time. Found a dead deer in the mountains, sold it, used the money for food and to clear debts. Nothing shady involved. Relief floods her face once she hears it's clean money. She's crying again, nose red, looking at me with this fragile, almost heartbreaking expression. She's not even 18 yet. And she's my wife. Officially, on paper, stamped by the government. Without fully deciding to, I pull her into my arms. The second her body presses against mine, we both go rigid for a second. Then something in me settles. I'm a transmigrated soul in a strange world. She's a girl whose entire life has been at the mercy of others. Somehow our fates ended up tangled together anyway. I stroke her hair gently. Suwon, I promise you, as long as I'm here, nobody touches you again. She listens to my heartbeat this close and feels something solid settle in her chest for the first time in a long time. Quietly, to herself, she thinks, I don't fully know who you are anymore. But whatever you tell me, I'll believe it. Money-wise, the math isn't pretty. 12 tails from the deer, over 7 gone to debts, less than 1 spent on food and clothes. I'm down to just over 3 tails total. No table, a house that needs real repairs, an exam prep ahead of me. Even with the pharmacy deal practically locked in, I can't count on money I haven't actually earned yet. Money, money, money. Everything needs money. Once the crowd's gone, I notice they kicked the front door clean off its hinges during the chaos. I toss the broken wood, clean up the yard, then grab leftover herbs and a chunk of fat meat and head to Erju's place. Mostly to thank Xiaoying for taking a hit protecting Suwon. Turns out neither Erju nor his wife are home, and Xiaoying's too nervous to even open the door, just murmurs a few words through the gap before going silent. I leave the supplies by the door and head home without pushing it. Her husband's away, she's a concubine being careful, and I've got my own wife waiting anyway. After a quick lunch, I bury myself in the kitchen. The exam system here works basically how I expected. First hurdle is earning scholar status, which requires passing both a county exam and a prefecture exam before you're even eligible to test for the actual scholar rank. County exams normally run in February, but this year's brutal snowstorm pushed everything back. From what I remember, the new date's been moved to early April. That gives me under 20 days. The required texts: 4 books, 5 classics, the Analects, the Great Learning, the Book of Rites, the Spring and Autumn Annals, the Book of Songs. Over 100,000 characters combined. Even with a lifetime of being a standardized test machine back home, that's a brutal amount to memorize on this timeline. Whatever. I made my choice. Time to grind. Once I lock into study mode, nothing short of the sky falling gets through to me. I bury myself in the kitchen all afternoon until it's too dark to read. By the time I surface, I've got the entire doctrine of the mean memorized cold. Even lying in bed that night, my brain keeps cycling through passages, barely registering Su Wan's shy glances or attempts at conversation. Next morning, before it's even fully light out, I've already made breakfast and finished copying out the hand-copied text from the bookshop. I leave breakfast in the pot, tell Su Wan not to wait for me, and bolt for the mountains before she can even answer. I need money, and until the pharmacy deal's actually signed, herb gatherings are our only real income. There's a fire in me lately I haven't had since I got here. Halfway down the mountain, before most of the village has even finished breakfast, Urju's cart catches up to me, loaded with firewood. Xie Ning, brother Urju, I climb on without hesitation, heading into town again, pharmacy, and dropping off my hand-copied texts at the bookshop. Glad you're finally on the right path, he says, almost emotional about it. That's when I notice a fresh cut on his face. What happened to your face? He's furious. Apparently the blacksmith and his wife showed up at his house yesterday afternoon trying to bully them too, and even hit Urju's wife. So he and his wife went straight over and beat the hell out of both of them in retaliation. You didn't hear all the screaming yesterday? I genuinely didn't. I was locked in the kitchen all afternoon studying, completely zoned out. Your wife got involved too? I'm already laughing. Turns out his wife was the one who started it, straight up sitting on top of the blacksmith's wife pummeling her. Urju only got hit because he tried pulling her off before she did real damage. I lose it picturing his wife going full berserker mode. In the city, Urju peels off to sell firewood while I go straight to the pharmacy. The shopkeeper looks surprised to see me. The detox medicine needs 7 days before we see results. Why are you back already? I grin at him. I can wait on the results, but I'm not waiting on income. Got fresh herbs today, came to cash in. He laughs, calls me a little moneymaker, and sends me to the apprentice to weigh and tally everything. 218 coins total. Want to count it? The kid asks. No need. Before I can even pocket it, Dr. Wu comes barreling out from the back, eyes lighting up like he just spotted his own grandson. Perfect timing. Come look at a few of my test patients. In the back room, 7 patients of various ages lie on beds. Dr. Wu points to 2 severely emaciated men, faces covered in sores. These 2 have the worst symptoms. I needled them this morning, pulse still erratic. Take a look. I sit and check their pulses myself. Confirms what Dr. Wu said, the addiction's gone deep in both. I ask about appetite, breathing, whether the sores itch. The first man answers honestly. Eats fine, but lying down feels like a stone's crushing his chest. Sores don't hurt, or itch at all. The second, older one, says about the same, except today's new medicine made the area around his sores hurt badly. Way worse than the younger patient. I press around the swollen tissue near his sores. Hurts here? Yes, exactly there. I grab a needle and push it right at the edge of the sore. Here too, no pain there. That tells me everything. His poisoning has already moved into his internal organs. The surface sores are just the body's way of pushing the toxin out, but the damage has gone way past what the skin alone is dealing with. He sees my face go serious and panics. Young man, what does that mean? Am I not going to make it? I don't answer directly, turn to Dr. Wu instead. The poison's already deep in his organs. Detox medicine alone can outpace it at this point. Could I take over treating this one? These patients already signed life and death waivers to test the medicine for free. The clinic feeds them 3 meals a day, and if they die, their families get 300 coins. Their lives are yours to work with however you see fit. Dr. Wu strokes his beard, eyes full of genuine excitement rather than fear, like a fan watching his favorite drama unfold live. I turn to the apprentice. I need a tale of camphor powder, 2 tails of honeysuckle, ground fine, plus 2 flat blade knives, forceps, scissors, and a bucket of boiled water. The herb names don't alarm anyone. The knives, scissors, and boiled water absolutely do. Scissors? Forceps? Boiled water? And a knife? What exactly is he planning to do to me? The older patient grabs Dr. Wu's arm, refusing to let go. Doctor, I don't want to die. I signed that waiver, but that doesn't mean you can gut me open like a pig. That outburst rattles every other patient in the room, and people outside start craning their necks in, curious. On another bed, a man named Zhao Eru watches me closely. He's a city constable, got addicted to the drug years ago, trying to curry favor with a superior. Unlike the others here, he's not poor and desperate. He's here because every time the drug flares up, it derails his actual police work. Feels like ants chewing through his body. From the inside, with the drug now banned, even an officer caught using it would drag his whole family down with him by law. So this clinic's his only real option left. He's already had a bowl of medicine this morning and 2 herbal pills at noon. The itching and pain in his limbs has eased a lot, but watching Dr. Wu bring in some young stranger about to cut open the patient next to him, his fists clench under the blanket. Waiver or not, nobody's putting a knife near him without a fight. In the next bed over, an older woman named Auntie Zhang shares the same fear. She started using the drug years ago just to stay awake doing embroidery work, trying to fund her son's education. Now the drug's banned, her supply's gone, and she's quietly signed a waiver behind her son's back, prepared for the worst. Watching an actual surgery about to happen in front of her, knowing she might be next, has her breaking into a cold sweat, heart hammering. Doctor. Old Dr. Wu. The room's in full panic now. Auntie Zhang's begging Dr. Wu not to murder anyone, reminding everyone they only signed up to test medicine, not get butchered. The constable backs her up. Words already leaking to the front waiting area, and within minutes the rumors escalated from minor procedure into the clinic is executing patients by 1,000 cuts. Rumors really do spread fast. I glance at the crowd of heads crammed against the window and lose my patience. Enough wailing. Before Dr. Wu can even step in to explain, I clamp the man's shoulder down and shove a cloth in his mouth before he can object further. I'm trying to treat you. Keep screaming that I'm here to torture you, and I might just start carving real meat off that skeleton of yours. That backfires spectacularly. Now half the room's convinced I really am about to start cutting people up for parts. Someone outside even suggests reporting this to the authorities, until someone else points out there's a literal constable lying right there in the room, witnessing the whole thing. Dr. Wu, old and unbothered, isn't fazed by any of this. He already knows the detox medicine alone hasn't been cutting it for these severe cases. He's been waiting for exactly this moment, for someone who actually knows what to do next. He pats my shoulder. Everything's ready. It's all you now. I get to work fast, tying the man's limbs to the bed frame, which, to everyone watching, looks exactly like preparing someone for execution rather than treatment. I pull his shirt open, press around the largest infected lump on his chest, confirm its size and position, and pick up the flat blade. This won't hurt much. Hold still. This blade's basically the era's version of a surgical scalpel. Crude compared to what I trained with, but worlds better than a woodcutting knife. When toxins build up under skin like this, they pool into clotted, blackened masses under the surface that the body can't process fast enough on its own. I make the cut. Blood starts red, then darkens fast, and I pull out a solid, fist-sized clump of black, congealed poison straight from under his skin. He doesn't feel a thing. His eyes go wide enough, I'm worried they'll fall out of his skull. The blood. Why is it black? What is that? He just pulled a black lump out of his chest. Zhao Eru, the constable, has a clean line of sight to everything and goes completely still. He genuinely never imagined the drug created something this monstrous inside a person's body. I keep going, black clots, one after another, from his chest, then his neck, armpits, groin, finally his limbs, working through every major lymph cluster. When I get to his groin, even Auntie Zhang forgets to look away out of modesty, weirdly fascinated watching the black masses come out, like watching someone pop a blackhead, except enormous and horrifying. Erlang, the powder, the apprentice rushes the herbal powder over. No sterilization equipment exists in this era, But since I'm not actually cutting deep, just draining surface clots, infection risk stays manageable as long as the medicine goes on immediately. I rattle off a follow-up prescription: 5-finger peach root, plantain, atractalodes, groundsel, ginseng, wash my hands, and tell Dr. Wu. Special cases need special treatment. Poison this deep in the bone needs both internal and external treatment together. New medicine, 3 times daily, and we drain the clots again every 10 days. And, when's he fully cured? The apprentice is just standing there, completely starstruck, staring at me like I'm some kind of deity. Full recovery takes time, depends on the case. He's been using for years. But the surface poison's cleared today, so he should feel significantly better by tonight. The man blinks, slowly coming back to himself, like waking from a dream. His bed's a mess of blood, his chest, neck, and limbs all freshly cut open. And somehow he's not dead, not even in pain. And that crushing weight on his chest he's been describing for years has noticeably lifted already. Everyone in the room is staring like they just watched a miracle. This kid looks barely 18, 19 years old. How does he know medicine like this? Zhao Eru's hand drifts to a lump on his own neck. Same type of mass, probably smaller than what just came out of this guy. If this severe a case can be treated, can his? Auntie Zhang's thinking the same thing. Her case is the mildest here since she couldn't even afford much of the drug to begin with. If this actually cures people, maybe she can keep funding her son's education after all. Every patient in this room who once worried the clinic was just buying their deaths cheap with a waiver now realizes the opposite is true. This isn't a death contract. It's a contract erasing their names off death's list entirely. I can actually be saved? I can live? Yeah, you'll live, I say, glancing at him bored. Want a pot to go with all that meat I just carved off you? Benefactor? You saved my life. You're like a second father to me. He tries to climb out of bed to kneel and thank me properly. I grab his arm before he can. Don't. I'm too young for that kind of bow. Lie back down, or you'll undo everything we just did. That threat works instantly. He drops flat onto the bed, terrified of ruining his own treatment. I tell the apprentice to keep his diet light going forward, congee with minced meat if possible. He's just staring at me, completely zoned out, so I wave a hand in front of his face. Hey, I'm talking to you. Pure starstruck silence. He didn't hear a word. Light meals for dinner, I repeat. Dr. Wu kicks him. Did you even write down the prescription Xie Ning gave? Nope, he didn't. To save him another kick, I just grab a pen and write it out myself. By the time I'm done, the shopkeeper's already heard everything secondhand from the crowd. Apparently UNG Hall now has a miracle young doctor working out of the back room. The detox partnership's basically locked in after today, no question. He looks at me with even more open admiration now. Xie Ning, herb gathering's no real career. Why not just take a position here, same pay as Dr. Wu? 5 taels a month. He holds up 5 fingers like he's dangling bait. 5 taels a month is genuinely solid money by local standards. But I already know exactly where I died in my last life. Worked myself to death over a surgery table, and I'm not about to get a second chance at life just to repeat the same mistake. I'm happy to use medical skill as a side income. Becoming a full-time physician again. Hard no. I appreciate the offer, but it's not the path I want. Then what do you want, Dr. Wu's genuinely confused, especially given how fluently I diagnosed and prescribed for completely different cases today, smoother than he manages after a lifetime of practice. He's clearly suspicious of my whole wandering monk gave me a book, story by now too. I lay it out plainly. A doctor saves one person at a time. A court official saves a whole nation. Treating the sick is good, honorable work, but I want a different path. That lands harder than I expected. Dr. Wu goes quiet, genuinely moved, admitting he's spent years since the drug crisis started wondering how to actually fix the root problem instead of just patching wounds one patient at a time. But as just a doctor, he's limited to that. If I actually climb high enough through the exams, I could do far more good than he ever could stuck here. I just nod along, secretly aware I'm mostly saying what sounds good rather than what's strictly true. I'm not driven by some noble calling to save the empire. I'm pragmatic to the bone. Looking at how badly this dynasty's already falling apart from the ground up, the court itself is clearly rotten and chaotic. I have zero interest in being some heroic reformer. But staying a doctor forever, even a brilliant one, leaves me exposed. One political shakeup, one powerful enemy, and a doctor's title protects nothing. The exam path is simply the smarter long-term move for self-preservation. The two of them look thoroughly inspired. Old man and shopkeeper both glowing with second-hand idealism, while I quietly enjoy having said exactly the right thing by accident. The whole procedure took almost an hour. I skip lunch with them and head to drop off my hand-copied texts at the bookshop. Walking out, I get stared at like I'm under interrogation. Words already spread about the miracle doctor, and two middle-aged women literally chase me down the street asking if I'm married. I have to sprint 2 full blocks to lose them. In the market district behind the pharmacy, I grab a baked flatbread and wander a bit. I stop at a stall. How much for the silk flowers? 8 coins each. I pick a pale yellow one. Same color as the undergarments Su-Wan was wearing the first time I set her bones. Then a blue one too, to match her new dress. 2 for 10 coins? 10? The vendor laughs. You bargain hard for a scholar. After some back and forth, she caves to the charm offensive and sells both for 12. Silk flower hairpins are basically this era's version of cheap hair accessories, wires shaped into flower designs, since regular women can't afford real gold or silver pins. Still pretty in their own way. Tucking the flowers away, I'm already picturing how she'll look wearing one. My wife's genuinely striking. Bright eyes, slim waist, long legs, the kind of face that would do well even back in my world. Except what I'm holding is just cheap silk, not real jewelry. A real hairpin would be better. The bookshop's right around the corner, so I'm not rushing. On the way, I pass a combined pawn shop and jewelry store and stop in. Gold's out of budget, but silver might be worth a look, and if not today, there's always later once I actually have money coming in. I wander in. The clerk doesn't bother approaching, clearly sizes me up as a broke scholar not worth the effort, lets me browse on my own. No glass display cases here, just roped-off sections behind the counter where you can see everything but touch nothing. After a few laps around the shop, I get it. All those court dramas about women fighting for the emperor's favor were never really about the man. It was always about access to jewelry like this. The case is full of silver hairpins shaped like clouds, inlaid with white jade, agate, mica, tourmaline. Genuinely beautiful work, even in a shop this far from the capital. If this is what a backwater town's jewelry store carries, I can't even imagine what actual noble households are wearing. Excuse me, how much for that one? I point at a silver hairpin with a white jade pendant hanging off it. 3 taels, the clerk says. 3. The silver alone barely weighs a tael, and that jade pendant looks like scrap from a bigger piece. Cost to make it probably isn't even 2 taels. Classic markup. What about this one? I point at a palm-sized jade ornament. That one's pricier. 13 taels. I work my way through most of the white jade pieces in the shop. The clerk stays patient through all of it, no eye rolling, which I appreciate. Touching the jade pendant I've been carrying in my sleeve, I ask casually, this shop's connected to the pawn shop next door, same owner. Nobody else is around, so he loosens up a bit. Same owner, yeah? You got something to pawn, scholar? Plenty of people lately are pawning whatever they own, even blankets, just to scrape together a few coins for food. Maybe. I ask, do you guys need proof of where an item came from? Obviously, if it's something the government's actively hunting down, we won't touch it. Translation, in my head, anything officially flagged gets refused outright, but otherwise, nobody asks questions too closely. Could you take a look at this and tell me what it's worth? I set the jade pendant on the counter. The clerk's face stays neutral, checking the quality, turns it over a few times. This is worth something, but I want my boss to confirm. If you're serious about pawning it, let me bring it back. Sure, go ahead. I wait nearly an hour, starting to wonder if they've swapped it for something worse behind the curtain, before the clerk finally comes back. Scholar, you want to sell this outright, or pawn it temporarily? What's the difference? He glances toward the back room, careful with his words. Outright sale, 20 taels, cash now, done. Buying it back later's basically impossible. Temporary pawn, 10 taels, 100 coins monthly interest, 10 times the going rate either way. So the jade's not worth as much as I assumed, which actually settles something for me. If it's not particularly valuable, it's probably not dangerous either. I was originally planning to hold on to it for emergencies, but if it's not worth much, there's no real risk attached to selling it now. Plus, thinking back to the man I stitched up at the city gate, clearly some kind of trained fighter, would someone on a dangerous mission really carry a status symbol like that around, let alone hand it off to a random stranger, even one who just saved his life? Doesn't add up. Probably just a nice trinket, nothing more. I sell it outright, take the cash, and head straight for the bookshop. The shop owner checks my handwriting against the original sample, pays out the 100 coins as agreed, and I sign a new contract for the full book of Wright's copying job. Then I camp out in the shop reading old exam papers for free. Pricing on these varies wildly based on the commentator's reputation. The truly elite scholarly annotations stay locked up within powerful families, but anything floating in the open market is at least written by minor successful candidates with some name recognition. Even at that level, I'm completely absorbed. My first hurdle is just passing the county exam in April. The heavier essay forms and formal court writing only matter much later, after becoming an official scholar. I grab a book of past prefecture exam questions and lose track of an entire hour reading it, completely missing the clerk clearing his throat repeatedly nearby. By the time I finish the next volume, more book of Wright's material to copy and memorize, it's already noon. Excuse me, I'd like to settle up. These exam materials are technically above what the county and prefecture exams require. Those only test basic command of the 4 books and 5 classics, simple arithmetic. But honestly, that's fine by me. A lot of the analysis in here matches my own thinking anyway. The clerk, half asleep at the counter, takes the books from me assuming I'm just window shopping like everyone else who never actually buys anything. He yawns through the price. One tael, 300. I pull out a handful of coins. The second he sees the mix of silver and copper in my hand, he snaps fully awake. He'd been quietly dismissive of me as some broke scholar this whole time, and clearly wasn't expecting actual money. He starts wrapping the books in oil paper, suddenly sheepish. So, you know Xie Ning, right? Yeah, he's family. Older cousin. I watch him fumble through this sudden personality shift and grin. You're his brother-in-law. Yeah, that's me. My sister's married to him. Name's Lu Shi. He scratches his head, embarrassed about his earlier attitude. That whole thing earlier wasn't really about you. Too many people lately just camp out here reading for free. That's all. No worries, I get it. Got anything you want me to pass along to your sister and brother-in-law? Since I'm headed back to the village, looking at the kid, 13, maybe 14, I'm not about to hold a grudge against someone that young. Nothing, actually. Dolly's in town often enough anyway. All right, take care. I say goodbye and head out, distracted enough that I don't watch where I'm walking and slam straight into someone blocking the doorway. Watch where you're going. Are you blind? Then, wait, Xie Ning. I blink and place the face, original me's cousin, Xie Yaozu. You're Xie Yaozu. What are you even doing here? He looks genuinely shocked seeing me in a bookshop, flanked by a few other young men in scholar robes, local students by the look of them. What else would someone do at a bookshop besides buy books? Use them for kindling? I ignore him and try to walk past. He blocks me again. Oh, I get it now. His whole tone shifts to something smug. You're here to corner me about borrowing money again, aren't you? I genuinely flinch at the word, borrow, at this point. And of course this particular cousin's first instinct is contempt. Original me's cousin, his uncle's son, apparently never liked him, or more accurately, looked down on him his entire life one-sidedly. Good dogs don't block the road. Move. I've got zero patience left for this. I try to step around him. He doubles down smug. Just say it. Came here to borrow money, didn't you? Can't even admit it to my face now. I genuinely don't know what to say to that. We share a surname. We do not, apparently, share a single brain cell between us. I size up the group blocking my way. 3 of them look hollowed out, dark circles under their eyes, drained from drink and women, basically. Original me was a brothel-going degenerate, fine, but Xie Yaozu's apparently no better. Memory check. The 2 of them used to run into each other at brothels constantly. Neither one judging the other, both equally broke and useless, just one drinking in a private room while the other gambled in the main hall over peanuts. Pot, kettle. Standing next to Yaozu in expensive silk is a guy I recognize. Only son of the owner of a rival pharmacy, surname Peng. Yaozu's loudly insisting I'm here to corner him for a loan, which is really just him posturing in front of his friends at my expense. I don't have time for this. I shoulder straight through him. Good dogs don't block the road. Move. I catch him hard in the gut. He doubles over completely silent, too proud to make a sound in front of his friends, clearly in genuine pain. Yaozu, you okay? He forces it out through clenched teeth. I'm fine. He glares at my back, grinding his teeth. Should have checked the calendar before leaving the house today. Running into him is just bad luck. Pang Jixing smirks. Your cousin's interesting, though. Usually ignores you completely, and today he actually shows up at a bookshop. What was he even doing here? Doesn't look like he hit you up for money. What else would he be here for? Yaozu insists I must have come to buy filthy picture books, only backing off the loan request because his friends were watching. Another one of the group, sickly looking and clearly poor himself, pushes back gently. Said he actually saw me buying real books. Maybe I'm seriously studying. No way, Yaozu insists, demanding they ask the clerk directly to settle it. What did that guy buy just now? He calls out. Was it dirty picture books? Lu Shi, still working his abacus at the counter, doesn't even look up. He heard the whole exchange and isn't thrilled watching original Mies own cousin team up with strangers to mock him. Watch your mouth. He bought a full set of exam papers, half a tael's worth. You all buying anything or what? Stop blocking my doorway. I've got business to run. Meanwhile, completely separate from any of this, the jewelry shop owner heads straight to the back door of the Li estate. Li Wu, you've done well, the official inside says. If you hadn't noticed the unrest brewing with the northern tribes and gotten word to General Qin in time, the people near Baiqing would have suffered for it. The wounded officer on the bed, Li Wu, the man I stitched up, speaks with real anger about how disaster relief grain meant for the famine-stricken region keeps getting skimmed at every level before reaching anyone who actually needs it, and how those 3 cities would have been wiped out entirely if the northern raiders had gotten through too. Nothing to be done about that. The official, Liao Jichong, says heavily. I'm responsible for an entire region, natural disasters, I can manage. General Yang and his entire army, though, that I couldn't save. Li Wu's furious, bringing up General Yang, executed unjustly, convinced he was framed, since the Yang family's army was too strong to have genuinely lost that battle against the tribes a year ago. The official's steward rushes in, sweating. He pawned the jade pendant. Li Wu's face twists, half pained from his wound, half from disbelief. Was my jade pendant really that cheap looking? How much did you give him? The jewelry shop owner, already scolded once over this, stammers. 20 taels, market price, since he had no idea whose pendant it actually was when it came in. Li Wu's stuck between laughing and yelling. Turns out the pendant's family crest jewelry, custom-made each year for the extended family. 20 taels is an insult, and worse, it got pawned at his own family's pawnshop, which means he's now got zero way to track down the man who saved his life. Did you even ask his name? Where he lives? The shop owner, already terrified from the earlier scolding, has nothing. He genuinely forgot to ask. Liao Jichong, stroking his beard, finds this almost amusing. Nothing to be upset about. If anything, this proves the man's character. Your family crest is recognizable enough that anyone who looked closely would know exactly whose favor they could call in. He clearly never intended to use the connection for anything. But now I have no way to find him. Li Wu's at a complete loss. If that scholar hadn't found him, he'd be dead. He spent days waiting, half expecting someone to show up with that pendant so he could properly reward his benefactor. Now realizing the pendant wasn't worth as much as he assumed to an outsider, he figures the man must genuinely be struggling financially if he pawned it rather than holding on to it. Before anyone can process that, the steward comes rushing back in, breathless, having just walked the disappointed jewelry shop owner out moments earlier. What now? Where's your composure? Liao Jichong snaps. The steward's practically glowing. My lord, word just came from the pharmacy. They've actually cured the addiction. What? Liao Jichong reacts before Li Wu even can. You're saying the detox poison's actually been cured? Truly? Absolutely true. Excellent. Excellent. Heaven blesses this dynasty. Liao Jichong's always trusted Dr. Wu's skill, but never expected him to crack something that stumped the imperial court physicians for half a year. He grabs the steward's arm too hard in his excitement. Get Dr. Wu here immediately. I want every detail of this cure. The steward winces from the grip. My lord, it wasn't Dr. Wu who solved it. Dr. Wu comes from generations of physicians. His family held the imperial physician's top position for 3 generations straight. Even without an official court post, there's arguably no better doctor in the entire Northwest. Both men freeze. Then who? Meanwhile, completely unaware, I just missed out on connecting with one of the most powerful men in the region. I'm walking back into the village, mind fully occupied with imagining Su Wan's reaction to the silk flowers. I'm back. How are you feeling today? The second I step inside, Xie Ning jumps off the bed like she's seen a ghost, in broad daylight, no less. Sister-in-law's here too, I say politely. Thank you again for protecting my wife yesterday. How's your injury? Genuine, simple gratitude, said plainly in front of Su Wan. But Xiao Ying's breaking into a cold sweat, real sweat beading on her forehead. I need to get going, things to do at home. She bolts out so fast she's basically gone before I finish the sentence. What was that about? Did someone step on her tail? Su Wan covers her mouth, laughing. Right before I walked in, Xiao Ying had been spiraling through theories about what's possessing me, a wandering ghost, some mountain spirit. Even a depressed scholar who drank himself to death in a brothel once came up as a candidate. Nothing, Su Wan says, smiling. She's probably just scared of you. Scared of me? Apparently, in Xiao Ying's head, I'm basically interchangeable with a possessing spirit at this point. Anyway, how are you feeling today? I've gotten into the habit of checking her pulse every day now. Steady, calm, and even the earlier internal blockage from her injuries is mostly cleared. Good sign. She's been genuinely happier lately. I'm good. Doesn't hurt anymore, she says, looking at me with none of the old fear left in her eyes. Whatever stranger's soul is supposedly living in this body, she's stopped caring. As far as she's concerned, the man who takes care of her unconditionally, that's her husband. Full stop. I even walked around a bit today. You walked? 3 broken ribs need real bed rest. Walking too early risks the bones healing wrong. Your injury's not fully healed yet. Don't push it too soon. Or what? She's genuinely not scared of me anymore, smiling with dimples I hadn't even noticed before. Or these, I say, drawing it out, pointing at her chest, might grow crooked. She freezes, face going crimson the second it registers. She's still technically untouched, so a joke like that completely short-circuits her. Husband, it's broad daylight. So what if it's daylight? I lean into it, enjoying her flustered reaction way too much. You're my wife. No one else is home. I didn't even say anything wrong, and nothing wrong. She's blushing all the way up to her hairline now, looking at me like I'm about to devour her whole. Anyway, look what I brought you. What is it? I pull out the 2 silk flowers. She lights up immediately. Hairpins. Yep. I tuck the blue one into her hair myself. Like it? I love it. She reaches for the other one to put in too, but I stop her. One's perfect. 2 would be too much. You're already gorgeous with just this one. Really? She touches her hair, eyes glistening, that fresh, unguarded sweetness of a girl who's just starting to bloom. Of course, my wife is definitely the prettiest in the village. I keep handing out compliments like they're free, which they are. Next time you're up and walking, stand against the wall. I want to measure you. I still don't even know how tall you are. Here, I gesture to her shoulder. Or here, lower, near her neck, grinning like an idiot in love. Then I pull out a money pouch and put it directly in her hands. Look what this is. From now on, you manage all the household money. She freezes midair, arms still raised. She's not naive about money. Grew up around it before everything fell apart. Gold and silver strung up like toys as a kid. But the weight in this pouch alone tells her it's serious. She opens it. 2 solid 10-tail silver ingots inside. A few days ago we had 3 tails total. Husband, where did all this come from? Honestly, somewhere along the way, whatever lingering thought I had about eventually separating from her quietly disappeared. She's gentle, understanding, sleeps beside me every night. I'm only human. And she's beautiful, genuinely striking. I tell her the short version, saving a man at the city gate, pawning the jade pendant he gave me for the 20 taels. A pendant with a Qilin design. That's the one detail she actually reacts to. Yeah, Qilin. In this world, military officials use the Qilin emblem, while civil officials use cranes. But the carving on the pendant wasn't a clawed, dominant pose, just a crouching one, so I never thought much of it. Why? You know something about it? No. Just curious. She shakes her head quickly, then asks, uncertain, Husband, you're really putting me in charge of all our money. 20 taels, more than even the village head's family could produce on short notice, and she's still technically an outsider, a refugee bride. You're my wife. Of course you manage what I earn. I'm grinning like some lovesick kid who's never been close to a woman before. This is just 20 taels. I'll make plenty more. I work, you stay home looking gorgeous, and count money till your hands cramp. Oh, by the way, do you need the bathroom? I'm home right now. I can help. She blinks, completely thrown by the sudden topic jump from money to bathroom assistance. Truthfully, she does kind of need to go. But the idea of him hearing, even married, even husband and wife, feels mortifying. She bites her lip and shakes her head. No, I don't need to, really don't. I keep pushing, enjoying this too much. If you do, don't hold it in. I'll just cover my ears and close my eyes. She's so flustered she practically wants to disappear into the floor, finally smacking my shoulder out of sheer embarrassment. Husband, okay. I hop off the bed before she can hit me again. I'll stop. Be right back. While her face is still burning, she hears banging around in the yard, and a few minutes later, I'm back holding a wooden stool with a hole cut in the middle. I hold it up proudly. Wife, use this whenever you need to go. Just put a bucket underneath. She has absolutely nothing to say to that. The county exam's set for early April, time's tight, so apart from daily mountain trips for herbs, I barely leave the house. Even handed off the herb-selling business to Urju to save time. I figured I still had a few days before my scheduled meeting with the shopkeeper. Instead, on the third afternoon, the pharmacy's cart pulls right up to my door. Shopkeeper Zhou, I'm genuinely surprised seeing him at my door, with Urju trailing behind looking awkward, hands fidgeting in his pockets like he doesn't know what to do with himself. The shopkeeper takes one look around my half-collapsed house, me sitting on a stool by the stove warming up while reading, and the message lands instantly. This man is genuinely poor. Shopkeeper Zhou, what brings you out here? I scan the room for a second chair. We don't own one. Don't bother looking, he says. I'm here on business, then I'll get going. Is this about the herbs? I joke that he's seeing firsthand how poor we actually are. No place to even sit. Maybe we should borrow Urju's house instead. Urju's still in shock from all this. Delivering herbs to the pharmacy for me these past few days already felt unreal. Guys like him barely get acknowledged by city folk, and yet every time he shows up he gets treated politely, even offered hot water. 10+ years in and out of the city, and nobody's ever treated him this well. And now apparently the shopkeeper wants to negotiate an exclusive supply deal with me for an entire new medicine line. Urju's biggest brush with importance before today was the annual tax collector. Now I'm apparently doing business with the city's biggest pharmacy. Watching me discuss prices seriously with the shopkeeper, Urju's pretty sure he's dreaming. Urju, sit down, I tell him, leading everyone to his house instead, where there's at least hot water and real seating, instead of nothing. Urju plants himself stiffly on a stool, tense like he's waiting outside a delivery room. The shopkeeper gets straight to business. The owner's thrilled with the detox medicine's results and agreed to source exclusively from you. Question is, what price are you thinking? That fast? I'm confident in the formula, but I didn't expect approval this quick. What price point are you considering for the finished pill? UNG Hall's been operating in this city for 100 years, since the founding emperor. Our purpose has always been benefiting the people, he says, taking a sip of tea, serious now. The Northwest suffered under this addiction for years. Now that there's a real cure, that's a benefit to the whole region, not a profit opportunity. Don't expect to get rich quick off this. The pills themselves don't cost much to produce. The real value's in the formula and proportions, not raw materials. I'm not trying to get rich overnight either. Slim margins are fine if the volume's there. What's the number? 5 coins per pill, 3 pills daily, half a tael a month per patient. Affordable for ordinary people, but it doesn't leave much room for your cut. These tonics get made in batches, single doses or 30-dose runs. My formula leans heavily on pine needles and oxtongue weed for 60% of the mixture, with snake tongue grass making up about 10%. Roughly, a full batch costs around 120 coins in raw herbs and yields enough for a 10-day supply per patient, sellable at 150 coins. That's a modest profit per patient. About 20 extra coins every 10 days, 60 a month. Doesn't sound like much per person, but multiply that across an entire region's worth of addicts, and the real number's enormous. 2 coins per pound for the pine needles and oxtongue weed. No quantity limit. Whatever you bring, we'll buy. Snake tongue grass isn't in season yet, but I'll pay 4 coins per pound once it is. Sign today if you're in. He lays the contract out on the table, waiting. Urju's barely breathing next to me, completely lost in the math, but recognizing pine needles and oxtongue weed as stuff that grows wild all over the mountain, free for the taking. 2 coins a pound, unlimited quantity, 0 cost to gather. To him this sounds like literally free money. I don't hesitate. I sign and stamp my print immediately. Shopkeeper Joe, when should I bring the first delivery? Now that the treatment's confirmed effective, I'm not wasting a single day. The contract's in triplicate. He keeps his copy. One goes to the magistrate for notarization, and he smiles. Production already started yesterday on the first batch, and our herb stock's running low. Tomorrow would be ideal if you can manage it. I've got other suppliers to visit, so I won't stay longer. This is 10 taels as a deposit. Hold on to it. Got it. I'll have the delivery ready. Tomorrow, long after the shopkeeper leaves, Urju's still rubbing his face, completely overwhelmed, deep grooves carved into his weathered features. Xie Ning, what exactly did that official just say? Is he doing business with you? I can't help laughing at his expression. Yeah, business. And exclusively with me, nobody else. And that ox-tongue stuff, and the other thing, the snake-tongue grass. What even is that? Snake-tongue grass, not longbug grass. Ox-tongue weed's the one that grows under acacia tree roots all over the mountain. Both are real medicinal herbs, worth real money. And the pine needles too? 2 coins a pound, really? Urju stares at me, skeptical. Xie Ning, isn't that shopkeeper maybe scamming you somehow? Nothing in his world makes sense of someone paying real money for stuff that grows wild and unwanted everywhere. Villagers like him use that exact grass as kindling, annoyed at how much ash it makes. This is exactly what you're not getting, I tell him. Urju, think about it. Why does the same piece of wood sell for almost nothing as firewood, but turns into furniture worth 10 times more once a carpenter gets his hands on it? Or take soybean flour, 8 coins a pound raw. Mix in some vegetable scraps and meat bits, steam it into cornbread, and you can sell each piece for a coin, and 1 pound of flour makes at least 20 pieces. Mountain herbs work the same way. To you, it's just weeds. In a doctor's hands, it's medicine that saves lives. Urju blinks at me, slowly getting there. So I get it now. Business people just always find a way to squeeze money out of anything, right? That snake-tongue stuff can cure people, so it's worth something. That's the logic? I grin and nod. Exactly. That's the whole logic. Sure, the herbs are everywhere up there, but it's still hard work for so little money. 2 coins a pound. Urju's clearly skeptical the math works. A whole day on the mountain gets you maybe 20, 30 pounds tops. Beats firewood, sure, but not nearly as much as you make doing it yourself. 100-something coins a day versus 60 or 70. Urju's not stupid. He can do that comparison fine. That's all true, I say, tapping the table thoughtfully. But Urju, when did I say I was planning to gather every herb myself? Then, who is? He catches up fast. Oh, right, get your wife to help, and me too. More hands, more herbs, more money. I shake my head. Half right. There's an old saying, enough hands moving together can shift a mountain. I'm not planning to gather this myself, and I'm definitely not asking you to abandon your own work for me either. His face goes blank. Then how's this supposed to work? I'm going to get the entire village out there picking herbs for me. I break it down for him properly. The 2 of us together can manage maybe 1 to 200 pounds a day, max. That's half a tael, give or take. But what if the whole village pitched in? Anyone who brings me herbs gets paid for it. Say, a coin for every 2 pounds. Even someone barely trying could bring in 20 pounds. 10 people, that's 200 pounds. 30 people? 100 people. All I'm paying out is the raw collection cost. Everything beyond that, sold to the pharmacy, is pure profit. Do the math on what that actually adds up to. Urju stands straight up, pacing in a circle, rubbing his face in pure excitement. Our village sits surrounded by mountains on 3 sides. Over 200 households, even if we're not a major clan. Oxtongue weed, pine needles. That mountain's got more than anyone could ever pick clean, and the shopkeeper himself said no quantity limit. Unlimited demand means the entire mountain's worth of herbs basically belongs to me now. And given how brutal the famine's been, even a strong laborer hauling sandbags in the city only makes about 20 coins a day, and that's after groveling and bribing the foreman just to get picked for work, which is exactly why this village has so many idle troublemakers in the first place. Xie Ning, I'm telling everyone right now, I'll get the whole village up that mountain for you today. I just smile. Urju, you're really going to just go tell them like that? You remember my actual reputation in this village, right? What about it? To Urju, turning down free money is just stupid. Trust me, this village has plenty of people with nothing better to do. I'll have everyone up that mountain by this afternoon and pull your cart into the city myself tomorrow morning. And what if nobody shows up? Nobody shows up. That possibility genuinely hasn't occurred to him. People are complicated, though, and I know exactly what original me's reputation is worth here. I'm not banking on Urju's enthusiasm alone convincing a whole village. Urju, let's make a bet. I point at the rooster strutting around the yard. That one. If the village actually shows up to gather herbs by this afternoon, I'll pay you for a whole chicken. If they don't, I'm cooking that one for dinner tonight. Deal. He marches out the door, fully confident. I linger in his yard a bit and notice two small heads peeking over the wall. I sneak up behind them. Turns out it's Dolly's son Zhuang and Urju's son, Xie, side by side. The two of them are drooling over the neighbor's white goose, mid-laying an egg, frozen halfway out. Classic kid behavior. I remember watching geese lay eggs as a kid myself. Spook a laying goose, and it can actually choke itself trying to hold the egg in. I watch patiently for a second, notice the goose is really struggling, and finally speak up. What are you two plotting? Ah, Uncle Ning. The startled goose flies off immediately, egg lost. Shit's face falls hard. He's still holding a grudge from when I took his roasted sparrow that one time, glaring at me, but too scared to say anything. The village walls are just packed dirt and straw, so I don't mind leaning right against it, grinning as I needle the two kids. You two want goose eggs? Zhuang swallows hard, clearly caught. Sure too. Terrified I'm up to something again, stays dead silent, sniffling nervously. That goose belongs to Grandpa Ge next door, and so do the eggs. You want to get caught and beaten for stealing? Zhuang knows stealing means a beating, but he's clearly starving for the taste anyway. Out of all the village kids, he actually eats the best. Grandfather's the village head, father's a bricklayer with steady work. They've never gone hungry. But not hungry and eating meat regularly are two very different things. He got smacked with a broom by his own mother just this morning for whining about wanting meat. He digs into his pocket and pulls out a few coins, the same ones I gave him as repayment earlier. Uncle Ning, goose eggs taste great. I'll pay Grandpa Ge for it. I'm not stealing, just don't tell my mom. Deal, I won't tell. I lift Zhuang down off the wall, his small body soft and warm in my arms. And for a second, I find myself wondering if any future kids with Su Wan would feel this same way. I've fully committed to her at this point. Even though we haven't actually crossed that line yet. If we ever do, who knows, she might give me half a dozen kids eventually. Ideally a string of older brothers, with one little sister at the end. Hey, Uncle Ning's got a question. You two want to eat meat? Meat? Nobody in this village, kid or adult, would say no to that. Xie eyes me warily. Uncle Ning, I want meat, but you can't kick me again. Last time I kicked him, he told his dad, and instead of taking his side, Urju kicked him right back twice more, insisting that original me was practically family and a stolen sparrow or two was no big deal given how hungry I clearly was. Even though his mom cooked an entire pot of meat that night, all thanks to the pork I'd given them, Xie is still wary, still holding a grudge. I won't kick you. I promise. Laughing hard enough my shoulders shake. I ruffle his hair. Right now Uncle Ning needs your help with something. Do this right, and you'll get meat. Not just meat, coins to spend too. You two in. In a place like this, family size means survival. 5 or 6 sons growing up means real labor power within a decade, plus whatever uncles and cousins pitch in. Sons even get land shares in some big family clans, while daughters marrying out don't cost the family anything, which explains why sons are valued so much harder here. Our village runs on the same logic. Every married couple's clearly putting in serious effort at night, since 4 or 5 kids per household is completely normal. I send the 2 boys to round up every kid in the village at the big willow tree where they usually roast sparrows, give them a few coins, then head home to cut up pork. 5 pounds at first. Then I reconsider and just dump in the whole remaining 10+ pounds. By the time I drag the iron pot down the path, the kids are already gathered, mid-argument. I caught this sparrow at my uncle's place. I eat first. You caught it, but I lit the fire. I get the big piece. You get the small one. Why should I listen to you? Your mom's a widow. My mom says I can't even play with you. Say that about my mom again, and I'll kill you. Bring it. Who's scared? Loser doesn't get any sparrow. Widow Zhang's son Zhang Debao and another kid, Xie Xiaoshu, both around 11 or 12, evenly matched, are already wrestling on the ground while the others cheer them on loud enough to carry across the village. Then the smell hits. What is that? Meat? Growing boys eat their fathers into poverty under normal circumstances, but these kids barely get enough food most days, let alone meat outside of holidays. Stealing sparrow eggs from rooflines is basically their only protein source, and even that gets them chased off constantly. The fighting stops instantly. Every kid's nose goes up like rats sniffing out stolen oil. Zhang Debao and Xie Xiaoshu abandon their fight mid-swing, drooling, the smell hitting harder than the village head's own father's funeral feast, supposedly the best meal anyone here's had in years. Where's it coming from? Debao shouts, pointing. A dozen kids take off sprinting toward the willow tree, kicking up dust, terrified the meat might vanish before they get there. By the time they arrive, eyes are bulging, throats working like drums. It smells incredible. Heaven help them. One bowl of this meat broth, and they'd sleep soundly for a week. I'm stirring 10 pounds of pork in the pot. No rock sugar for color, but plenty of oil and soy sauce frying everything down to that deep, savory smell that carries for miles on the wind. Outdoor cooking has no shortage of firewood. I've got a good pile of dead branches keeping the broth bubbling away. Zhuang, coins from me still in his pocket, stands by the pot swallowing hard. Uncle Ning, I got all the boys here like you wanted. You promised me meat, and me too. Shida's voice is quieter, less commanding than the village head's grandson, but he's been faithfully tending the fire the whole time. Of course, both of you get some. I spot the rest of the pack circling like starving wolves and raise my voice. Zhuang, what did Uncle tell you earlier? What do you have to do to get meat? Zhuang straightens up proudly, announcing to the whole crowd. Help Uncle Ning with work. Go up the mountain and gather weeds, and he'll give you meat and coins to spend. I ladle the biggest chunk into his bowl. Good job, Zhuang. Then to Shirtu, and you. Help Uncle gather herbs, and you get meat and coins too. Shida's eyes are practically falling into the pot at this point. He'd agree to anything right now. Yes, I'll help gather herbs. Whatever you need from now on. I'm in. That's the spirit. Here's your bowl too. Most of the smaller kids have no idea what gathering herbs even means. But Xie Xiaoshu and Zhang Debao catch on fast. Help with whatever this is. Get paid in meat and coins. Debao, 12 and bold enough to actually approach, decides it's worth the risk even if it's a scam. Worst case, he just keeps pooping in front of my door out of spite. Uncle Ning, I keep stirring, deliberately not rushing to answer. He nearly chickens out from my silence, but catches Xiaoshu signaling him to push through. Uncle Ning, is it actually true? Help you get meat? Of course it's true. Adults don't lie to kids. Adults who lie to kids deserve to step in. Their own piss. Zhuang. Explain to everyone what kind of herbs Uncle needs. Zhuang, taking his job seriously, pulls out 2 handfuls of weeds I'd given him earlier as samples. This one's oxtongue weed, this one's pine needle tips, and this one's snake tongue grass. I correct gently. Right, snake tongue grass. Uncle Ning says these grow everywhere, and if you bring them to him, he gives you. He blanks. Shirtu jumps in to finish. Money. 2 pounds of oxtongue or pine needles gets you 1 coin. Snake tongue's worth more. 2 coins for 2 pounds. Really? Xiaoshu's still skeptical, scared this is all a setup, but the smell of meat in front of him is undeniably real. Of course it's real. Zhuang opens his palm, showing off 10 coins. See? Uncle Ning gave me these. He's the best. He even paid back the money he borrowed from me. Plus extra. Generous nephew. This kid. I don't need to point out that last part myself. Zhuang holds up the sample herbs, which most kids already recognize, except the pine needle tips, which throws them off. Debao asks, Uncle, what's with these pine needles? Just the youngest, tenderest tips on the pine branches. Snap off enough to make weight. Bring them here, and I pay you cash on the spot. No tricks, no excuses. I scoop a heaping bowl of meat and press it into Debao's hands. The bowl's burning hot against his palms. He doesn't care at all, doesn't even think about letting go. This is meat, enough to flavor his mother's cabbage stew for a whole year. Uncle Is this really for me? He can't quite believe it. Yes, it's yours. I fill another bowl for Xiaoshu, then straighten up and address the whole drooling crowd. Anyone who agreed to gather herbs for me today, every single one of you, gets meat. But there's only so much meat here. First come, first served. Miss it, and there's none left. The kids stuff themselves stupid on meat, bellies round, mouths greasy. There's a saying here that only rich families ever get oil stains on their sleeves, and even poor families fake it during holidays, smearing pig skin on their cuffs just to look like they're doing fine. Xiaoshu goes to wipe his greasy mouth on his sleeve. Debeo grabs his arm. Don't. Why not? Xiaoshu's still annoyed about their unfinished fight earlier. You idiot. Yeah, we got fed, but whose meat was it? Xie Ning's. If your parents find out you took food from the village degenerate, they'll whip you raw. That sobers Xiaoshu up fast. He warns the other kids too. So are we still doing what we promised him? He said he'd actually pay. Real coins. These kids barely get to keep any New Year's money before their parents take it back. And now there's an adult promising cash, same day, just for picking weeds. Obviously we're doing it. Debeo's thinking about his own mother, stressed about affording seeds for spring planting, who's been begging the local crook Xie the Lame repeatedly for help, and came home with fresh bruises last time. He knows half those bruises came from Xie's wife and half from Xie himself, even though his mother never says it out loud, just cries quietly at night. Fists clenched, eyes burning. We're gathering whatever he wants. He promised to pay. What if he doesn't? One of the smaller kids asks nervously. Debeo's voice is iron. Then we all go take a dump in front of his house. Every single one of us. Teach him not to scam kids. Meanwhile, I'm walking home with the pod. Zhuang riding on my shoulders, Shida's hand in mine. And Erju gets a bucket of dirty water dumped straight over his head somewhere along the way. Who do you people think you're talking to? You think the Xie family's got no men left to speak for them? Xie Baoqing's wife stands in her doorway, diaper rag in hand, hands on her hips, screaming. We're all on the same family registry, and you come here, trying to scam your own kin. Just because that degenerate caught one lucky deer doesn't mean he gets to play city merchant now. Weeds for sale? Give me a break. What? An absolute joke. And you, Li Erju, letting that idiot talk you into running his errands, showing up at my door peddling nonsense. Erju, soaked through with dishwater, is about to roll up his sleeves and argue back when Siadali stops him. Turns out Erju's first stop recruiting villagers was actually the village head's own house. The village head himself, Xie Baoku, just tapped out his pipe and said nothing, leaving the decision entirely to Dolly. Ever since the deer sale, Dolly's noticed I've genuinely changed, not suppressed and bottled up steady, but actually grounded, calculating, never getting taken advantage of. Figuring my reputation alone might need backup from family ties, he'd planned to personally go door to door with Erju, prioritizing Xie clan members first since blood matters here. Instead, the second house they hit threw cold water on the whole plan, literally. Auntie, that's a little harsh, Dolly cuts in. We're family. You don't have to help if you don't want to, but there's no need to talk like that. Harsh? This is harsh. She keeps swinging the rag through the air, only showing Dolly partial respect. Dolly, don't think I won't say it to your face either. You're a respectable bricklayer. Why are you wasting time running errands for that degenerate? Aren't you worried his reputation rubs off on you? Enough chatting, both of you. My grandson just wet himself. He's about to start screaming for milk. She slams the door, tossing one last line over her shoulder, that if I really do strike it rich, they'd better not come crawling back to her door. By the time I see Erju next, his face is longer than a donkey's. I'm crouched in the kitchen sketching something out on the dirt floor with a stick for the two boys when I look up and see Erju standing in the doorway like some kind of furious door guardian, soaked head to toe, hair plastered to his skull. I wrinkle my nose. Erju, what's that smell? And Dolly, you're here too? Dolly, who'd been fuming the whole walk over, can't help cracking a smile watching Erju's misery now. Don't ask me. Ask your brother there. Erju, what happened to you? He looks exactly like a man who got caught flirting with the wrong woman and paid for it. Don't even ask. Erju's face is black as a pot bottom, furious. These people, are they actually idiots? Turning down free money like this? I already knew exactly how bad Original Me's reputation was in this village. Paying off debts once doesn't erase years of damage overnight. Got turned down hard, huh? I pat Zhuang's backside. Send him and Shirdu off to play. You have no idea. Urju's practically shaking with rage. Xie Baoqing. When that snake bit him years back, it was your father who carried him down the mountain and sucked the poison out himself. And out of everyone in this village who looks down on you, his own family's the worst. And don't think I didn't notice. While his wife's out there screaming insults at my doorstep, Baoqing himself was sitting inside drinking, not even bothering to step out, like the rest of us are blind or something. Even Dolly, family himself, looks genuinely disgusted hearing about it. Blood ties should mean something, especially given my actual father saved that man's life once. Dolly, swallowing his anger, says, Xie Ning, don't let it get to you. I'll deal with my second uncle's family later. If this business is legitimate, I'll make sure nobody dares act up again. No need to bring the village head into this yet, I tell him. My old reputation earned this distrust fair and square. Makes sense they don't believe me. So what do? The shopkeeper wants delivery tomorrow, and we don't have a single stock of anything. Urju's getting genuinely anxious now, grabbing Dolly's arm to head back out. Let's get up that mountain right now while there's still daylight. We can't go back on our word. Dolly, getting dragged along, shoots me a stunned look. He'd been skeptical earlier hearing secondhand that I had a deal with the city's biggest pharmacy. Now watching Urju panic this hard over breaking a promise, it's clearly real. Xie Ning, Urju's right, Dolly says. Let's head up while there's light left. If the three of us aren't enough, I'll grab my father and your sister-in-law too. Brother Dolly, Urju, hold on a second. I grab Urju's arm, smiling. Remember our bet from earlier? Yeah, I remember. His eyes go wide. Wait, Xie Ning, did you actually already find people to gather herbs? Found them. Just give it a little time. I lead them both out to the yard and point at the rooster strutting proudly along the wall. Dinner time's coming up anyway, and I skipped lunch. Why don't you go ahead and settle that bet now? Herbs will be showing up at my door by tomorrow morning at the latest, guaranteed. You in? Truth is, I've been eyeing that rooster for a while now. The rooster who's been waking the village up at dawn his whole life, lord of his own little harem of hens, finally meets his end. I wring his neck, drain the blood into a basin, scald and pluck him, gut him, blanch him quick, then sear him off with ginger and soy sauce before tossing in the frozen mushrooms Urju brought over. Soon the whole yard smells like chicken stew. Dolly's already heard from Urju that I genuinely signed a real contract with the city's biggest pharmacy. He'd assumed I'd been scammed at first, same as Urju, but the second he learned they'd handed over 10 taels as a deposit before even receiving a single herb, doubt becomes impossible. When did I get this capable? He barely recognizes me anymore. His own brother figure finally turning his life around. That's worth celebrating in Dolly's book, so not to be outdone by Urju's rooster sacrifice, he runs home and grabs 2 pounds of preserved bacon, telling his confused wife flatly, going drinking with my brother Xie Ning. I'd already braced myself mentally for Urju's wife's intimidating presence, but seeing her in person still hits different. Thick facial hair, a faint dark shadow above her lip that from a distance reads as a mustache, features that aren't ugly exactly, just unremarkable, except the build. By my estimate, my own body's roughly 6 foot, Urju's a couple inches taller than that, Dolly a bit shorter. This woman matches me eye to eye, fills the doorway completely, built like a wall. As sister-in-law, she's holding a finished quilt, greets me politely once she notices me. Visibly thrown for a second, since the old version of me used to flinch from her like a mouse spotting a cat. Apparently, she notices the change too. At least now I act like an actual human. Quilts are ready, bringing them to your wife. Thank you so much, I say, deferential as I can manage in front of someone built like this. My wife has your payment ready inside. I won't intrude. The deal was 15 coins per quilt. She'd have collected even if I hadn't offered. 1 foot through the doorway, she turns back, eyebrows sharp. Xie Ning. This man somehow still finds the nerve to take a concubine under this woman's nose. Genuinely impressive courage. Seeing the look on her face, I brace myself. Yes, sister-in-law, she stares me down, voice flat and final. Next time you and your brother make a bet, leave my livestock out of it. That rooster was the best one they had, sire to a dozen hens. Got it. Won't happen again. Inside, the second Tian shows up. Xiao Ying jumps off the bed to make room, visibly shaking under one glare. Sister-in-law's here, Suwon says warmly, handing over the agreed payment from a basket of loose coins. Thank you for your skilled hands. Without you, my husband and I would still be freezing under those old blankets. How's the injury? Husband's taking good care of me. Barely hurts anymore, Suwon says. Just can't do real labor yet. Then don't. Let Xie Ning handle it, Tian says, voice gruff. A wife feeds and clothes her husband. A husband takes care of his wife when she's down. That's just how it works. I told you before to leave him. You didn't listen. Glad it worked out anyway. Glad he finally got his act together. People close to me have clearly noticed the change. Out of everyone in this circle, Tian's actually the only one who never looked down on Suwon for being a refugee. She's intervened plenty of times back when original me was at his worst. Even offered Suwon travel money once to help her run. Suwon's official status is laborer class, technically a step above brothel class, but still legally below ordinary citizens. The law here forbids selling actual free citizens, but laborer class people are legal property, tradable. Men in that status can survive anywhere if they're strong enough to work. Women, especially one as physically delicate as Suwon, lose all legal protection the moment marriage no longer shields them. Anyone on the street could grab her and sell her on. That's the real reason she endured years of abuse rather than running. Nowhere safe to run to. Yeah, finally worked out, Suwon murmurs, eyes drifting toward the window where I'm splitting firewood outside. Xiaoying follows her gaze. Even surrounded by other grown men doing the same work, my posture stands out, straight-backed, the evening light catching my profile, sweat tracking down my jaw in a way that somehow looks good instead of gross. No wonder Suwon's still completely smitten, even believing I might be ghost-possessed. The room goes quiet for a second before Xiaoying asks, genuinely worried, Suwon, has he been draining your life energy lately? Outside, 2 tables are set, men at one, women at the other. Beyond the chicken stew, I've made stir-fried cabbage with bacon, a spicy potato shred dish, and finished with an egg and chive soup made from the rooster's unhatched eggs. Shirtu and Zhuang, already stuffed from lunch, barely touch their food before I send them off to practice writing by the fire. Zhuang working on basic numbers, Shirtu starting with his own surname. That's the difference a scholar makes, compared to us dirt farmers, Dolly says, sipping sweet potato liquor, watching his son count on his fingers. Once you actually commit to learning something, you end up earning faster than the rest of us combined. Exactly. Erju's already red-faced after 2 cups. I used to think Xie Ning wanted to study just to dodge real labor. Turns out he actually learned something from those books. The man can practice medicine now. That's doctor-level skill. That is, a doctor. How many actual doctors does a cluster of villages like this even have? Even a half-trained barefoot quack gets treated like royalty around here. Respected purely off one useful skill, never short on food. Xie Ning, I heard from the pharmacy folks your medical knowledge beats even their senior doctors, Erju says, genuinely curious now. Where'd you learn all this? Teach my nephew sometime. He's apprenticing at a tofu shop in the city, treated like a pack mule, skinnier every time I see him. He's only 12, and it breaks my heart watching him work like that. One lie always needs 100 more to hold it up. I've officially cornered myself. I'm scrambling for a way to dodge the question entirely when a crowd of small bodies suddenly appears at the edge of the yard. Uncle Ning, are you home? Erju's first to the door, suspicious, and yanks it open. Both he and Dolly freeze. Crammed outside is a pack of village kids, 10 or so, filthy from head to toe. A couple still wearing twigs stuck in their hair from the mountain. Uncle Ning, we brought the herbs you wanted. Pay up? Don't go back on your word. Adults who lie to kids deserve to step in their own piss, DeBeo adds, looking genuinely tense behind the bravado, terrified of being scammed but desperate for the coins. You don't pay. We're all taking turns crapping in front of your door, starting tomorrow. So that's who's actually been doing that on my front step. Not Erju's son, after all. You must be freezing. I wave them all into the kitchen to warm up by the fire. Even with spring technically here, the mountain's still mostly snow, and most of these kids are wearing clothes a size too small with thin padding at best. Hours wandering the mountain in this weather isn't a small thing for malnourished kids. I have Erju pour hot water for everyone, sharing bowls if needed. With medicine this scarce, a chronic chill could turn into something serious fast. Need to boil some Isida's root tomorrow for them. I think. DeBeo drops his sack with a thud and wipes his mouth, jaw set defiantly. Uncle, I spent the whole afternoon on the mountain. Is this the stuff you wanted? He opens the sack. Urju and Dolly both freeze. Inside, stacked together with bits of snow still clinging to it, is a proper haul, fresh pine needle tips, ox-tongue weed, and a smaller amount of snake-tongue grass. Exactly what I asked for. Dolly stares at the filthy crowd of kids, stunned. Xie Ning, these are your hired help. Told Urju not to worry, I say, grinning at him while he's still visibly constipated with disbelief. Watch, I'm not eating that rooster for nothing. I crouch down and sort through the herbs. A bit of snow and stray grass mixed in, but it's exactly the right 3 plants. I clean and separate everything into proper piles, then open the coin pouch and set it on the stove counter. The clink of coins lands loud. Sounds like easily over 100 there. The kids go dead silent, breath held, eyes locked on the pouch like they're terrified the village's biggest degenerate will somehow back out at the last second. Urju, you got a scale at home? His wife sells eggs and sews for the village regularly, so they always keep one. Yeah, hold on, he's back almost as fast as he left. Tion shows up too, sees the crowd of kids, and shoots me a look. Weigh them fair. Don't shortchange the children. Wouldn't dream of it, sister-in-law. I have Urju hold the scale steady since I don't fully trust my own reading of it, and do the math myself. Ox-tongue, 12 pounds 7 tails. Pine needles, 4.5 pounds. Snake tongue, 2 pounds, Urju calls out. I round up generously in my head. 12/7 becomes 13 pounds, 4.5 rounds up to 5, and quickly tally the coins. I clap DeBeo on the shoulder. Not bad at all. Zhang DeBeo, he's barely breathing, eyes red, voice cracking. How much, uncle? 13 coins. I pry open his white-knuckled fist and press the coins directly into his palm. Keep that safe. Lose it, and that's on you, not me. He's never held this much money in his life. The actual physical weight of real coins in his hand is what finally convinces him this is real. He keeps rubbing the coins together in his palm like they might evaporate. Uncle Ning, yeah? I'm already moving to the next kid. Xiaoshu's watching DeBeo with competitive intensity. He's a year older, and the two of them have been rivals for as long as I can remember from this body's memories. DeBeo just got 13 coins. His own older brother only makes a tael or so a month dumping slop buckets for a wealthy household. Comes home so rarely his mother gives up the warm spot on the bed. For him every time. Even took in his baby to raise so it wouldn't slow down his work. If Xiaoshu earns more than DeBeo today, maybe he can finally beat his own brother at something. Uncle, this is the most money DeBeo's ever held. Earned clean, without bowing to anyone, without being forced to call some drunk lowlife dad. Money that's actually his. Uncle Ning, I'm never crapping in front of your house again, or peeing either. I'll bring even more herbs tomorrow. He bolts off before finishing the sentence, and right as he turns, I catch a single tear flying off his face mid-air, landing somewhere in the dirt. Uncle Ning, how much is mine? Xiaoshu desperate. Is it more than DeBeo's? Ox-tongue, 14 pounds even. Pine needles, 6 pounds. Snake tongue, just a few stalks, I tell him. Hang on to those few stalks. Bring them back once you've got more weight. So how much, uncle? 10 coins. The moment the coins hit his palm, he leaps a full foot in the air, screaming with joy. I have money. Less than DeBeo, but 10 whole coins. Tomorrow I'm buying meat buns at the market. 5 of them, 1 each for my mom, dad, brother, and even my little nephew. Uncle, you're the best. Can I bring more? Herbs tomorrow too. Of course you can, I say, ruffling his hair, then turn to the rest of the crowd. DeBeo left in a hurry. Tell him tomorrow, sort the herbs properly. Like this. I hold up the cleanly separated piles. Keep each type separate, no mixed weeds, no snow. Got it. Uncle Ning, my turn. I was here first. Weigh mine first. I've got more than you. Get in line. The kids erupt into chaos loud enough to rattle the roof. I line them up properly. Urju handles the scale. I do the math and pay out. Dolly sorts and stores the herbs. By the time every kid's gone home, it's fully dark. Dolly helps Urju weigh the full sorted haul one final time. The total comes in way higher than expected. Nearly 50 pounds of ox tongue, 35 pounds of pine needles, and just under 8 pounds of snake tongue, the rarest one. Quick math in my head. Ox tongue and pine needles both sell at 2 coins a pound to the pharmacy. Snake tongue at 4. Gross comes to 148 coins, minus the 36 I just paid out to the kids, leaving 112 coins in clean profit. Finally, some peace and quiet. I say, these kids really came through, Urju says, impressed. I'll take it into the city for you first thing tomorrow. Dolly offers too. You've got firewood to cut tomorrow. I'll make the trip instead, save you the lost wages. Wages, who cares about wages? Urju says, settling back at the table for another shot of sweet potato liquor. My brother's finally got his life together. That's worth more than any coin. Besides, I need to hit the West Market tomorrow anyway for seed grain. If Urju hadn't mentioned seed grain, I'd have completely forgotten I even owned 3 acres of farmland. Original me apparently fought constantly with his own father about selling that land to fund his studies. The reason it never happened. Those 3 acres were the only good farmland left from a family split over a decade ago. And digging through the memories more, turns out Original me's grandparents are technically still alive. His father's younger brother apparently convinced the grandparents to give Dad only 3 acres of good land plus 2 acres of rocky, barely usable land near a ditch and this falling apart house, all under the excuse of needing to support the elderly parents, himself. Grandparents still alive, and not one of them showed up when both his parents died back to back. Same village, even. Nobody offered a single coin. Original me had to literally beg the blacksmith for coffin money on his knees. Thinking back to running into Xie Yaozu at the bookshop, that smug, condescending look on his face. Turns out Original me's whole obsession with studying probably started as a reaction to watching his parents get pushed around by the grandparents while Yaozu's branch of the family thrived, already a scholar-ranked student by comparison. Original me's instincts weren't wrong, just doomed. You can't out-effort a family that's already decided you're the lesser branch, and getting beaten down enough times eventually breaks anyone, especially someone not particularly sharp to begin with. As for the grandparents themselves, I almost laugh thinking about it. If your own son's brother can stand there and watch his parents starve and grieve without lifting a finger, that tells you everything about where their loyalties actually sit. Far as I'm concerned, that branch of the family doesn't exist unless they show up and personally try something. And if they do, that's their problem to deal with. What to actually plan on those 3 acres, though, haven't figured that part out yet. Urju, whenever you've got time, take me out to see that land properly. Good soil, that plot, he tells me. Even during the drought, it still pulled 70 pounds an acre. That's exactly why the blacksmith was so eager to grab it off you. We'll see, I say. I got up early again this morning, spent most of dawn studying. By the stove with the exam papers. This particular set written by a scholar named Wu Junyuan, who topped both his county and provincial exams a couple years back. The cover even includes his biography. No ghostwriting industry exists here yet, especially not for exam essays, since those test actual skill directly. And this guy's confident enough in his own work to be selling annotated study guides before even passing the imperial exam himself. The cart creaks along. I don't mind the cold, sitting in the back muttering through Book of Rites passages from the highlighted sections in the real exam papers. Urju listens to the wheel creak, blending with my recitation, and feels genuinely happy about it. Already planning to work harder, so he can eventually send his own son Shirtu to study too. Today's also the day the southern counties around the city hold their official seed grain sale, so the gate's packed with carts and people. We wait through the line before getting through. Xie Ning, wait for me. Let's buy seed together, and you should check out the tax collectors while we're at it too. Sure. Let's drop the cart at the pharmacy's back lot first, save us from the crowds. At the pharmacy, I hop down and call out to the apprentice sweeping nearby. Erlang, give my brother a hand pulling the cart around back. The pharmacy's packed thick as a temple on holy days. Word's apparently been spreading fast through the city about a miracle young doctor who not only cured dying addicts, but developed a working detox formula from scratch. Most of this morning's crowd showed up specifically chasing that rumor. It's really working, a woman in line says, craning her neck toward the entrance. My neighbor, Annie Zhang, took that drug for years secretly doing embroidery work, hiding it from her son. Her sores were horrifying last I saw her, blood running down her arm. You know what I saw yesterday? What? Gossip always finds an audience, especially here, where most of the crowd's dealing with the exact same poisoning. The lump's gone. The woman gestures wildly at her own arm and neck. It used to be the size of a quail egg. Now it's mostly shrunk away. Even the smaller rice grain-sized ones around it disappeared completely. What about her arm? The person asking is gaunt, swaying on his feet, clearly desperate for any confirmation this actually works. She wouldn't show me her arm directly, but the gossiping woman, worried about losing credibility, pivots fast to back herself up. I heard the young doctor personally drained the worst case, someone who was practically dying, right in front of multiple witnesses. Even wealthy households in the city are reportedly lining up for treatment now. Wait, isn't that him? The one who did the draining the other day? Someone shouts it. Dozens of heads snap toward me at once. I'm mid-transaction with the shopkeeper, barely a step toward the patient ward, when the noise hits like a wave. Miracle doctor! Miracle doctor, are you the one who drains the poison? Please, treat me. I've been waiting 3 days straight just to catch you here. Please look at my sores. Me too. Me too. Ever since I heard about the dying patient you cured, I've believed you can fix anything. Nearly 20 people swarm me at once, faces full of desperate hope, like I'm some legendary healer reincarnated. If Raju weren't still in the back lot drinking hot water, he'd be losing his mind seeing this. I finally understand what it feels like for celebrities getting mobbed at an airport. Except instead of obsessive fans screaming about wanting my babies, it's a crowd of genuinely sick, desperate people. Miracle doctor, please look at us. I've used this drug 3 years. My own mother's sick now too. My wife and kids won't even look at me because of the sores. She took the kids back to her parents' house, even though she's the one who got me started on it in the first place. I only used it to work harder, support my family. How was I supposed to know it'd do this? Me too. Another man pushes forward, dropping to his knees. Merciful miracle doctor, please save us. None of us chose this poison out of greed. We just wanted to earn more for our families and listen to the wrong people. Please, save us. Sir, please get up. I rush to pull him back to his feet, then look helplessly at the shopkeeper, who just shrugs, clearly enjoying this. Told you turning down the staff position wouldn't save you from this exact scene. Scanning the crowd. Maybe 20 people total. I can already tell 3 or 4 are severe cases just from how hollowed out they look. I've still got studying to do. Kids are probably already waiting at my door with today's herb haul. I turn to the shopkeeper. Where's Dr. Wu? Treating patients in the ward right now. He raises an eyebrow at me. Well, changed your mind about the staff position yet? I'll still buy all 3 herbs from you either way. No strings attached. Don't tease me, shopkeeper Zhou. I turn serious, addressing the whole crowd. I know everyone here's hoping for treatment, hoping not to miss this chance. But hear me out first. The patients lean in, desperate, a few visibly tearing up, for the first time in years, actual hope that this disease might be curable. Miracle doctor, we promise we won't cause trouble. Yes, say whatever you need. If you can cure us, our lives are yours. I scan the desperate faces in front of me. Friends, uncles, aunts. I know you all want treatment right now. But sickness builds slowly over time, and it doesn't disappear overnight either. This poison's the same way. You're here today because word's gotten out about a real cure for the sores. There are 2 treatment paths, surgical removal of the clots or the oral medicine. Surgery's only for severe cases, not something to do lightly. So, anyone using this drug for 3 years or more, line up here. Sores under 10 total, none larger than a red bean, line up here. Everyone else, over there. Within seconds I've sorted the entire crowd by severity. I turn to the shopkeeper. Have you started registering patients for the surgical track yet? Watching me calm an anxious mob and triage them this fast and clean, the shopkeeper genuinely can't tell if he's watching a young scholar or some seasoned senior doctor running the show. Registration's already started, he confirms, sending the apprentice for the logbook. UNG Hall's never discriminated by status or wealth. Anyone who can pay gets treated, simple as that. Good. Then everyone line up here to register. The man at the front of the surgical line breaks down in actual tears, thanking me like I'm a deity. Miracle doctor, Bodhisattva of mercy. If you cure me, I swear I'll find a proper site and build you a shrine, so my descendants never forget who saved their ancestor. That's new. Even back in my old life curing patients, nobody offered to build me a temple. I laugh it off. Wait your turn in line, sir. I'm just delivering supplies here. The actual surgery's Dr. Wu's specialty. He's the experienced one. If you want to build a shrine, build it for him. I'm not the atheist I used to be after everything that's happened to me, but I'm also not about to get spooked by talk of gods or fate. Whatever brought me here, I figure heaven's got its own plan I'm not meant to understand. Besides, historically, people who get worshipped as living deities while they're still alive rarely end up with happy endings. Just look at every corrupt eunuch in the history books who got a little too comfortable with that kind of attention. Surgical patients, register here. I turn to the other two groups. Everyone with milder cases. The oral medicine alone will fully suppress and treat the poison, as long as it hasn't progressed to surgical territory. The detox pills? The ones everyone's been talking about. Someone in the crowd pushes the obvious question. Are they expensive? Will they actually work? What if it's like before, bottomless spending on something that just makes things worse? Fair concern, given they're putting something into their bodies on faith. I address the hesitation directly. Every medicine carries some risk. None of you knew this drug would do this to you when you started either. I'm no immortal, Dr. Wu, and I can't make miracle cures from thin air, but I can promise you one thing. This detox medicine genuinely suppresses the poison. That much, I guarantee. So, how much does it cost? How long before it works? If it's too pricey, forget it. I'd rather save the money for my kids than spend it on myself. It's not expensive, I say firmly. How much were you all paying for the original drug? Plenty. A small dose ran a full silver coin's worth. An old man chimes in wistfully, clearly nostalgic for the high despite everything. If it weren't so dangerous, I'd never have quit. That feeling was better than my own wedding night, I tell you. The crowd bursts out laughing. I crack a grin. At your age, you're not exactly in wedding night condition anymore anyway. More laughter, lighter now. Hope visibly settling over the crowd. Miracle doctor, just tell us the price already. Ignore this old fool. It's cheap. Less than a 20th the cost of what you used to pay. 5 coins. 5 coins a pill. That's it? That cheap? Yes, 5 coins, I confirm. For it to actually work, you need 3 doses daily, 15 coins total per day. Stick with it for at least a week and the open sores start scabbing over, itching and pain easing noticeably. Mild cases clear up about 70–80% within 3 months, and you'll be fully able to work the fields or do heavy labor the whole time. 15 coins a day for this. Less than half a tael a month to actually save my life. Miracle doctor, give me a full month's worth right now. Spring planting's coming. I need to be able to work my land. Me too. Me too. This is unbelievably cheap for something this important. You're a living saint. I'm building you a shrine too, praying you live a long life free of misfortune. Appreciate the kindness, but really, thanks shopkeeper Zhou and Dr. Wu first. Without them, this medicine wouldn't be sold this affordably. I check the time mentally, eager to get out before this spirals further and pull the shopkeeper forward by the arm in front of everyone. Everyone, whether you're picking up medicine or want to express thanks, go through shopkeeper Zhou from here on. I need to get out of here now. I shove the shopkeeper into the crowd and bolt. Behind me, the shopkeeper's getting mobbed, shouting helplessly after my retreating back. Hey, Xie Ning, don't run off on me. Get back here. Dr. Wu wants to see you too. Right as he says that, the well-dressed man who'd offered to build me a shrine earlier grabs his arm and won't let go. Shopkeeper, what did you just say? What's the miracle doctor's name? Was it Xie Ning? Which characters? How's it written? Get my medicine ready. I'm going straight to find a feng shui master to pick a shrine site for him.